Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. This week is a very special week for a couple of different reasons, but the main reason for me personally is that I have Jack and Victoria here with me for the 2025. We seem to do this on a yearly basis. As you can hear and as you can tell, I'm nervous, but I'm still really, really excited. Jack and Victoria, thank you so much for your company tonight. How you going?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having us back. Yeah, it is weird. It's funny how we do it usually, once a year, that type of thing. It's probably been like 3 or 4 now that we've done. Yeah, something like that.
100%. I think so, man. We started back in 2022, I think was the first one that we did, Jack, and then Victoria came and raided the grand final live stream as well because it was the Western Sydney Derby grand final that year. So, no, we've been doing this since 2022. So I'm so excited that we were able to get this done. So to everybody in the live chat, you can find Jack and Victoria on X and or Instagram as well. So please go find them and please go support them. All right, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Now, I sent you a couple of questions a couple of days ago, right? And so you, being that you're, by the way, officially married, my goodness, you're married now. Congratulations. I think that's now coming up on 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no.
I'm so sorry,
that's so funny. We lost you like halfway through that question, and we got through it mistaken.
No, you're right. No. Congratulations. You guys got married back in May.
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, can confirm. Wasn't a hoax.
Good. Yes. All right, so let's get stuck into the first question that I shot you guys, all right? So first question was that if the competition came to a finish today, who do you guys choose as the Dally M medalist for 2025? Jack, Victoria? Oh. Jack, Victoria, can you hear me?
All right, we're losing our connection. Okay, so majority of the season I was for that. But obviously down, and I've gone James Tedesco.
James Tedesco. Okay, James Tedesco. Yeah, the first half of the season, absolutely. Jack.
He's looking down.
Jack. Who's your Dally M medalist, mate?
Yes. Well, it was a tough one because it's probably the hardest year in a long time, I think, to pick it. Like, we've had a couple of years where, like, the Sean Johnson, Kalen Ponga year, where it felt like it was between two, but like it was still two standouts. Whereas this year, especially once Metcalf went down, I feel like we lost that standout. And so for me, I think just going on the numbers, I'm going Payne Haas.
Yep. All right. Yeah, for sure. He is going to be the closest a Ford has come to winning the Dally M's since, the late 80s or early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, of course. For me, I'll tell you what, Isaiah Katoa is a very close thing for me. The young man has been the Dolphins' best all season long. He's the one that's been racking up all of the Dally M points. For me, if the season came to a finish, factoring in Tedesco's first half, factoring in Payne Haas's incredible 2025, I still can't go past Isaiah Katoa. I think it's just the maturity that he has shown beyond his years. I'd have to give Isaiah Katoa the Dally M medal for sure. If the season were to come to a finish today. The next question that I asked you guys, because I don't because while we're connected on X, we don't talk it enough over X. But the next question I wanted to ask you guys was, who's been the most disappointing team in 2025?
All right. It depends. So a couple of months ago, if I got asked, I'd definitely say Penrith. That first half of the season was pretty dreadful. But the fact that they have climbed back to being a shout at the top four, I think does enough to redeem them from being my most disappointing to just a team that I've found to be regularly disappointing. A lot of the teams down the bottom of the table I've found to be performing of expectations, I'd say. Someone like the Titans, I'm disappointed in because I think they have so much ability but rarely show it. I think we saw it on the weekend. But if I was to pick a team overall, I'd Cronulla. I know they're in seventh. They had a good win over weekend, but but you know, I thought that they were going to be a chance to win the comp, adding in Fanua Blake and him replacing Royce Hunt, who hasn't exactly lit the world on fire at the Tigers. I thought they've really only upgraded in key positions. They haven't downgraded, and it hasn't happened, and I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah, I've got Cronulla as my grand finalist.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, sorry, V.
No, sorry, the delay is really bad.
The joys of streaming, huh?
Oh my god. Sorry. Yeah, this one was a really hard one, especially considering Para are like right down the bottom as well. So like, I don't want to sit here and try to talk shit about another team because everyone can just be like, you're still fighting for the spoon. So I'm actually going to go with a safe option and go with Souths on the basis of it's disappointing that we've had to see so many injuries. So like, instead of saying it's necessarily because of them, I'm going to say it's just overall disappointing because someone like Jamie Humphries has been affected. Obviously, Cameron Murray, you don't want to see him ruled out for the season so early. And then like Keon was flying and then he went down injured. Like everything like that, just injury-wise, I think it's been disappointing to see them so affected by injuries. Like to have a team not even be able to field an 18th man, like that's
yes, pretty bad.
So bad. So yeah, not on the basis that I think they're not performing to a certain level, but I think they're just not getting a fair share right now. And so they can't perform.
I absolutely agree with both of those answers. And I was just saying that Cronulla, I had them as a grand finalist. I even tipped them to win the whole frigging thing at the start of the season, much to the points that Jack made just before, 1,000%. Moving on to the next one, and I will shut my mouth and I'll let you guys take the floor. Is there anything that you guys want to get off of your chest in regards to this season, whether or not it pertains to this past weekend's controversies or maybe the bunker officiating? Is there anything that you want to get off your chest?
You got anything?
No, I want to be second, so you go.
Okay. I have decided that anybody who thinks Nathan Cleary doesn't belong in the same conversations as Jonathan Thurston and Andrew Johns and Cameron Smith and Wally Lewis for the greatest players to ever play rugby league is just bitter, or they don't know what they're watching. He is incredible. I cannot get over him. And I just feel like anybody who's saying that is just saying it because they don't want to say it about a current player when at a similar age, a lot of these players were being talked about in a similar vein. And he's achieved a lot more than a lot of the others. And it's a team sport, so it's hard to weigh achievements on it. But as an individual in that team, he's the most important one. He's the one who wins them the games more often than not when a winner is required. And he's just an unreal man. I feel lucky that I get to support the team that he plays for.
See, no, my issue is I'm just annoyed. I wanted you to go first, but you've just stolen my whole thunder. I was also going to talk about Penrith's best player, but actually for me, it's the trainer. Clearly, that's why they've won all the fucking comps. Because this trainer, week after week after week, apparently just keeps infringing and infringing and infringing. So, I don't know how you could really say anything.
Look, you chatted so much shit that the stream died. Maybe your trainers need to be better.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of like chat from a cheat. Cheese ready?
Oh, yo. Oh.
Jesus.
You're
Cat just ran into the door.
You're blaming your pussy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, all right. No, I love it. No, I love it. Thank you very much. Look, I think that the standard of refereeing has gone downhill since 2021, ever since really the six agains came in, and it's been a bugbear of mine. You guys know this. It's been a bugbear of mine for about 4 or 5 years now. Forward passes in try-scoring situations, it needs to be ruled on. Like, it hasn't been too bad, in particularly over the past 2 months or so. But to start the year, we saw some absolute howlers, and we've seen some we have seen some ones recently in recent times as well. But still, again, I think that the bunker needs to start ruling on forward passes in try-scoring situations only, not like from halfway or anything, because you don't need $5 million worth of IT technology to see that the ball has gone forward by 3 meters or so, especially out of, unfortunately, a serial offender in Reece Walsh, admittedly. So that's my bugbear, man, and it always has and always will be. But I do think that overall, I think the officiating, what's your opinion, Jack and Victoria? What do you think about the officiating this season? Because I think for maybe 3 years in a row now, maybe 2, if I'm going to be really generous, I don't think it's up to scratch.
I agree. It's weird because I tend to be a big defender of referees, I think. But in general, I do think the standard has gone down. I think a lot of that is to blame on the current set of rules and this obsession with rugby league being as fast as possible, which we all love a fast game. But I think the rules, particularly like 6 agains with the set restarts, those types of things, they're making it almost too fast for there to be a referee who can adjudicate on it correctly. And I think that's why we're not seeing referees adapt as well once they get into the NRL, because it is so much faster and it is so much more free-flowing than any other level of rugby league. And I think it puts them under pressure, and some of the decisions they make are honestly baffling. That's in terms of the on-field referees. When it comes to like the bunker, a lot of them, I don't think there is any excuse for some of the calls they make. I'm a Penrith supporter, but I don't understand how the Titans didn't get a penalty try on the weekend when Brian To'o hits Phillips Army high. Like, they said, it's because his foot went out. His foot went out because he got hit in the head. Like, it doesn't make sense. But I think the biggest thing for me is the referees' appointments. So the referees that are getting the big games, I think they're being given to the wrong referees. We saw someone like Adam G did a fantastic job in the 2023 grand final. He let the match flow, and then he did a really good job straight after in the Pacific Championships. And he hasn't gotten a big game since. I don't understand it.
Victoria?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that I feel like a lot of these refs go out there knowing that they're gonna probably be criticized, even if it's like unfair. Because there've been a couple games this year where I would say like the officiating was fine. It wasn't that bad, but because the overall issue is so bad right now and it's at such an all-time high, everyone looks at every mistake now with a sharper eye, whereas these mistakes have probably been happening for years, but those ones that are like so bad that aren't being like, I guess, spoken about enough. It feels like this year, Gray Mansley just threw away, the like debriefing about the round that just was. And so it kind of feels like, I think a lot of fans feel like they're in the lurch. You know, he's not really holding the refs accountable. Like, I don't want to like pick on anyone specifically, but just the relevancy of the Titans game. Like, Casey Back's finally been dropped, but in my opinion, that's probably a bit overdue. Like, I think it deserved to be like a bit of a stint, not 1 week and then you're straight back into a bunker for a critical game. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, earn your way back in. And I don't really see, like, if I'm completely honest, like, not to be disrespectful, but what does 1 week as a touchy do to make you go straight back into the bunker? Like, I don't really see that as a punishment so much, so to say. It's just like, I'll have a week off, because that was how they labeled it the first time when it was a few months ago or a few weeks ago, was like, oh, she's just been loaded, give her a break, let her be the touchy. But why not just like suspend her, not suspend her, but like don't have her involved in any game and like almost punish her. Like, because that one, I truly think she just overthought it. And hear her when she's explaining it sometimes. She's like, how can I make this not be a try? Or how can I make this be something, just like like looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, like where like Andrew Johns always says, like, or Brad Fittler always says, like, stop the slow-mo replays. I don't agree with that, but she's like zooming in on them basically as well. Like, it's kind of like, look at it at face value. He smacks him in the head. He clearly like goes down from that. His foot goes out because he's been knocked out with his head. Like, it's pretty like obvious. I feel like someone coaching under 16s would have called that. Reffing under 16s would have called that a penalty try. Like, everyone, Penrith fans were calling it a penalty try.
If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah, call it a duck.
If he hits him in the head, it's a penalty try.
Instead, she's calling it a 4-leaf clover. Like, I don't understand, like, how she comes up with some of these. Like, she decided to review that one try and retracted it basically and realized, oh shit, actually no, hang on, and then changed the on Garner. And so it's just like, it's become comedic. And so with all these incidents happening, you get those other guys that go out, or women that go out, and then the whole time you can tell they're just in their head the entire time. Like, we saw it a few weeks ago. I think it was Todd Smith, sorry, I could be wrong, and Jack will correct me, where he blew the whistle for a penalty and it was meant to be a 6 again. And the 6 again has been around for years. It was Todd Smith. It's been around for years. A ref that's just doing what they love, doing it, not feeling like they're being micromanaged by like fans or the attention of the fans, doesn't do that, doesn't make that mistake. But it kind of just shows, excuse me, that, they're just so in their head and they're just so panicked about making the headlines on a bad penalty that they end up making the headlines because they've done the wrong thing. And so I don't want a clean slate, but it kind of feels like these guys just, and ladies, I say guys generically, I just mean all of them, you know? Just like, I don't know, like, I don't know what the solution is, because it just feels like it's getting worse every year, but something needs to happen. It doesn't need to be damage control where they sit them down for a 3-hour session just because Ricky Stewart blew up. It needs to be something better, and it needs, the boys club needs to stop where they're picking Ashley Klein just because he's bald. Like, I don't know what it is, while constantly considering pretty much half of his game. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but something does definitely need to happen.
Yeah, I had my boss come into work a couple of weeks ago and came in and asked me the most basic bitch question and the most mundane thing, and I just with that kind of pressure, I make mistakes. Like, I'm just focusing so hard on trying to do a good job that you miss like something incredibly basic. So I get that they got to have that earpiece, and of course that's never going to change. But with someone screaming at you 7 different directives at you all in the space of 2 seconds, I mean, anyone would make the mistake as well. Alrighty then, without further ado, Jack and Victoria, are we right to get into the weekend ahead? Jack Victoria, we about to get into the weekend ahead. Alrighty. Well,
Sorry,
we got you there.
completely lost you.
We completely lost you. So we'll just say whatever you said, 100% agree with.
all right. Well, that means that you were right to get stuck into round number 23 then.
Oh.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. Melbourne Storm versus the Brisbane Broncos tomorrow night, Thursday night footy. Melbourne, $1.53. Brisbane Broncos, they are $2.50. And going into the team list just very quickly, we've got Tyron Wishart playing at halfback. Cameron Munster is in at 5'8". On the interchange, Pezzett, Lasati, Kamitha, and Chan, they are on the interchange. For the Brisbane Broncos, we've got Jack Gajewski playing in at the second row. Ben Tolte, Jaden Hunt coming off the interchange. And also another change there, a late one as well. Kane Bradley in jersey 18 will be playing centre. Now, Jack and Victoria, what is your tip for Melbourne versus Brisbane? What do you make of both of these sides so far in 2025? How do you think this is all going to go? All right. Well, for my tip, I'm going to go for the Melbourne Storm in this one. Melbourne Storm coming into the game in and out of form. They got to get a big scalp, and so too do Brisbane Broncos. Broncos, will be fascinating to see how they go down at AAMI Park. They've been beating up on the Titans, and they've beaten up on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They got done in by a very committed Parramatta Eels. So this is their biggest test, I feel, since they went down to Manly, maybe back in the early weeks of June or late part of May. So I think this is, I think this is the Broncos' heaviest test since the Manly game. Jack and Victoria, what do you reckon about this game tomorrow night down at AAMI Park? Jack and Victoria, can you guys hear me?
Are we alive?
I can hear ya.
Yep. Sammy can hear us. We've got a different laptop and we're joining on.
Alrighty, well, I'll continue on. You guys just yell at me. You guys yell at me when you feel like that it's all ready to rock and you guys are ready to rock and roll. Look, moving into the next one, Newcastle versus. Wait up!
Yeah.
Just yell at me. You guys.
Okay. What is your fucking?
Guys yell at me when you feel like that it's all ready to rock. You go. So you're in. I can hear you. I can hear you, but where are you?
Sorry, that's us trying to fix the.
We're on the other laptop now.
We're trying to cancel. It's my laptop, I think, flipped out and just couldn't handle the strength of it.
Yeah. Now my one, it looks crystal clear. Holy shit.
Yo.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Can you see us?
Yes, I can.
But like it's dark, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you oh.
Fucking hell.
Hey!
Oh, whoa.
What happens when we go to a Mac,
Jesus.
huh?
I will say at the beginning, I said my laptop is too slow. I said it.
So this is your fault again. You're blaming the pussy. You're now
What?
blaming your own laptop, V. My God, Jack, come on, man.
Sorry, I'm like
Yeah.
a bunker official.
Oh. All right. Now, I just got done through talking about Melbourne versus Brisbane. Melbourne versus Brisbane. I am tipping. I am tipping Melbourne versus. I'm tipping the Melbourne Storm to get the job done over Brisbane, even though it is a massive opportunity for the Brisbane Broncos tomorrow night down at Amy Park, guys.
Yeah, I'm going Storm as well. It's one of those games where if it was at Suncorp, I'd probably go the Broncos just because of the combination of the outs that the Storm have and their recent form.
Who do they have out?
Yep.
They still got like Hughes out and stuff like that. I don't think there's any fresh outs, but like what they do have, I think they're in a good position where they now feel like they can choose to leave Nelson Asafa-Solomona out, as opposed to being forced to bring him back in, because I think he's at the point of his career where he's becoming a bit of a liability, and in terms of like the penalties and the errors and just the brain farts. So I think that's a good sign for them about where they are right now. I still don't think they are anywhere near where they probably should be right now, but I'd still have them to just get over the Broncos. I can't believe how clear and much clarity there is in this stream now compared to before. Wow.
Victoria?
Yeah, thanks so much. Let's chat about the computer first before me, but whatever. I don't know. I'm going to be a bit of a booster of para here and say that Melbourne should have beaten them by like a hell of a lot more, but somehow couldn't. And like they actually got a bit rattled by para. Craig Bellamy walked out at one stage, which was hilarious for me. I loved it so much. But to go off a game like that compared to a game that the Broncos just played where they won by 7,000, I'm going to go Broncos. By
God damn.
6 or something, though. I don't think they're going to smash them or anything like that, but I don't know. Just maybe Hughes really is a more pivotal cog than I realized.
You're beating me in the tipping comp, so.
Yeah, and the last time that you guys were on, Jack tipped, I think it was the Gold Coast Titans a year or two ago, and the Titans got that upset. So you guys have a knack for it. So no, but and based off of this year as well, like Brisbane are a bigger chance than what they are currently at on Sportsbet, which is $2.50. So if you don't mind, V, you might be bloody swimming in it.
Yeah,
load up, put your house
absolutely on it. Yes. Now, look, Victoria. This comes the part of the night where you and I are not looking forward to because Jack now gets to talk about his four-peat Penrith Panthers now, gets to wax lyrical about them for the next however many minutes because the Newcastle Knights are hosting the Penrith Panthers on Friday night footy from McDonald Jones. Newcastle, they are $4.20. The Penrith Panthers, they are $1.23. And the changes for Newcastle, Jake Arthur is the 5'8". He is partnering Jack Cogger in the halves for the Newcastle Knights. And then for the Penrith Panthers, Isaiah Yeo is out for what seems like the first time in about 3.5 years thereabouts, if it's not Origin, or in case it's not Origin. So Isaiah Yeo missing, and that will be interesting to see the Penrith Panthers play without Isaiah Yeo when you've got To'o, Cleary, and Edwards and company as well playing. But look, we'll save Jack till last. Victoria, Knights versus Panthers. What do you make about both of these teams so far in 2025? What do you think is going to happen in this contest?
Yeah, I'm tipping Newcastle. So no, I'm really not. I'm not. Look, hearing Jacob Arthur does does make me sweat a little bit. I am having flashbacks, although he did score against them in the 2022 grand final. So maybe.
Last try wins, yeah.
Yeah. Really?
No.
Okay. So, maybe, I don't know. I'm really reaching, I don't know. I don't really get the Newcastle Knights, to be completely honest. There's a lot that I don't get about what Adam O'Brien has done with them this year. They have been unlucky. They lost Ponga. Not that that's much of a loss in my opinion. They lost Fletcher Sharp, Dylan Lucas, obviously like some big outs for them. Dylan Lucas, like especially considering he almost scored 5 tries on Penrith the first time this year. But to be honest, that game is actually what scares me about this game, because I think, Penrith are so like sensitive and they take everything like, really like, oh, wow, we've got to use that as motivation, as if the fucking, premiership isn't enough motivation. They're like, Mitch Kenny had to fire us up. Well, anyway, so I have a feeling they're going to come out and probably just fucking kill them, especially because, Nathan Cleary would be like, oh my God, I kicked the 2-point field goal. Yes, I won it for them. But how did we give up 24-0 and write some like poem about it? So he's probably going to go out and score a hat trick himself. It's just really annoying. I think they're going to kill them.
Jack, mate, I didn't actually get a chance to see because I get out of my lounge room from time to time, obviously, and have a live. But I didn't see Titans versus Panthers over the weekend. I just saw some highlights. So leaving the floor to you, but I start off with Nathan Cleary. What was Nathan Cleary's performance like over the weekend? How have you actually rated Nathan Cleary's 2025 so far? I think it's been pretty solid. I think there have been flashes of greatness. I don't think it has been consistently great, and that's part and parcel with their start, their first 10 weeks or so of the season. But, Jack, I leave the floor to you, mate. Newcastle versus Panthers, primarily about your Panthers.
Yeah, well, I want to open with saying that Victoria clearly doesn't understand what a team that wants to win looks like, because you wouldn't be so bitter about it. Maybe her team should try being motivated for once. But, yeah, it's one of those games where I'm very confident, but in 2025, that means a little bit less than what it did in the other sort of more recent years of supporting Penrith. It means it's a lot closer to what it used to mean every year before this streak, where I go, well, I'm confident every week. So, it's one of those things where Isaiah Yeo missing is pretty big. I think he's underrated still. In terms of like what he brings to Penrith, I think he isn't as valued as highly as Nathan Cleary, but I think he's just as important, really. But at the same time, Isaiah Papali'i is a pretty good fill-in for that spot. It's also fortunate that Luke Garner's playing some pretty good footy to cover for Isaiah moving across. Liam Martin's getting his first start since Origin because he had that injury and he's come off the bench in both games. Mm-hmm. And then it's a good time for Scott Sorensen to be back fit and ready to be playing again. Obviously, there's actually 2 injuries because Luron Patea is out, who I think has been one of sort of the young shining lights in the team with what he's brought. He's looked like a seasoned first grader with his performances off the bench. And Eisenhuth having to come in does worry me. I think he's a fine player, but I have nicknamed him Eisensloth for a reason, because he's just not at that same level as the other sort of regular first graders in the team. It's one where I really think that if Penrith care about what happened last week, which I think they do, they will try and come out and win a game where they might not necessarily put on like a cricket score, but it'll be about their defense. Because in the sort of streak of like 4 games in a row leading up to last week, we're conceding like on average 2 tries a game. I think it was like 10 points on average that we were conceding. And that includes the week before where we didn't concede any tries. And so the Titans, I think, caught them in a bit of complacency, but just the sort of natural talent of the roster is what got Penrith over the line last week. You said you didn't watch the game. It was a weird one where for the first sort of 20, 25 minutes when it was 0-0, the Titans were actually the better team. And as soon as Penrith scored, they just ended up scoring 3 more within the space of 15 minutes. And you go, oh, yeah, well, that's that done. And then the Titans ended up being the better team in the second half. But, they have a goal kicker that gets distracted by running, whereas we had Nathan Cleary, who's able to kick a 2-pointer. And it's one of those ones where I don't think 2 weeks in a row you can let the sort of on-paper strength of your 17 get you over the line against a team. Newcastle's a confusing team because, what exactly are they doing with their halves? It doesn't really make much sense to me. I like Jacob Arthur. I don't think I like him as a NRL player. And I have a particular bias towards Jack Cogger, but how many different people are they going to pair him with before they go maybe it's not working? I don't know. But I do assume at this point that Penrith will win fairly comfortably.
Just speaking on the Newcastle halves there, looking at you, Victoria, Dylan Brown next year, he's not playing for the rest of the year. We could be talking about this with the Parramatta Eels game in the next however many minutes, but Dylan Brown, Newcastle next year, air your grievances on What Enjoy Sports, if you got any, of course. And I don't know, Jack, who Dylan Brown could possibly be partnering, because Fletcher Sharp is a fullback to me, and he looked not out of his element, but he looked so green and so raw in 5'8" throughout the stages this year that partnering him with Dylan Brown, who has not, Victoria, you can hit the tennis ball back my way if you want. I know you bloody will. But I don't think Dylan Brown has justified his $1.x million pay packet at all. It was his opportunity to prove everybody wrong, to shove it down everybody's throats. I don't think Dylan Brown has done that. But Victoria, what's your thoughts about Dylan Brown?
Look, I think you've been pretty nice here. Yeah. I wanted him gone about 2 years ago. So look, this is my thing. I think nothing, in my opinion, obviously not Newcastle's because they're insane, but nothing dropped his value more than Mitch Moses getting hurt. I think if we've ever seen a player that rides off their partner half more,
lick off their coattails.
Yeah, basically. It's pretty clear that Mitch made him a better player. I don't know if it was I don't think it's effort, because I don't actually think he's not trying or anything like that, but I think he just doesn't have it in him to step up. Okay, look, at times it seemed like he wasn't trying. But I think, as much as I make fun of Nathan Cleary for being so dramatic and such a wanker, at least it shows that he would do anything to win, and he will step up for his team. Yes, it helps that many players around him are very good as well. And Dylan Brown hasn't had that necessarily. He hasn't exactly had,
this current Souths team.
Yeah, it's not as before this year. It wasn't inexperienced players. And then when he took on this year's squad with a young, rookie spine, basically, he was the most senior player in the spine. And he was nowhere to be seen ever. Basically, he wasn't a good leader. I mean, that was pretty clear in what was it? What year was it? I don't know. Whenever he got suspended, when he officially was dead to me, whatever year it was that he got suspended, that from there, he's just done nothing but let Parramatta down. And he just did not step up without Moses at all last year. And he sure as hell didn't do it this year. And to be completely honest, as much as I completely understand why he took the money with Newcastle, and I'm genuinely not salty that he did in any way, a lot of people are, and I find whatever, each to their own. I fully understand why he took that money. For me, he has won that I don't think Newcastle are going to be glad that they did that in a couple years. And for his sake and Newcastle's sake, and, I guess whatever, I hope I'm wrong. I don't actually really, but you know what I mean? Let's pretend to be nice. but I think they've made a really big mistake. And when he was basically told this year, we're not going to play you again. We're looking towards the future. We have the opportunity now to blood Papali and like look towards next year. Now that Moses is coming back, you won't be selected again next year. You won't be playing New South Wales Cup. You will not be playing again this year, basically. You can go to Newcastle now if you want. He went, nah, I'm good, thanks. Nah. And I get that there's the mentality of like, you know, he wants to see out the rest of his contract with his friends and all that sort of stuff and help them and stuff like that. But firstly, I'm sure he is doing what he can to help. I don't really know how much he's helping them. You know, what's he going to do? Here's how to not rise to an occasion. I don't know. Bit of an odd situation. But in my opinion, if I was a Newcastle fan, knowing where they were on the ladder when that happened, knowing all the injuries that happened, knowing that your star player on like one of the biggest contracts ever turned down the opportunity to come early, I'd be so pissed. Personally, I'd be so pissed. I get it from Brown, but if I were Newcastle, I'd be so mad. And look, maybe I should have done this as my tangent because he really did just open up a can of worms. But he's just I can't understand him. And I think going back to last year, there was a moment last year that really stuck out to me with him. Because there were some games where I was like, oh, I can see what he's trying to do. He's just not a halfback. But when we played in Darwin, we went into the sheds at halftime up. It was like up like 8-4 or something like that. I know we were up by 4 points. And then we got thrashed like 44-12 or whatever it was. It was something horrendous. They absolutely destroyed us in the second half. And at full time, he actually said, going into the sheds, I thought we were all right. But what? You were up by 4. Like, how did you think like that was it? And that just kind of shows that lack of, I guess, like not lack of motivation, but he just doesn't seem to have that drive to go like, I want to constantly be better. Instead, it's just, you know, I'm happy to do the second phase work, but I ain't doing all that like initial work. And maybe, you know, maybe he just doesn't have it in him as a player. But for me,
there's only 24 though. Like, is that a maturity thing, do you think?
I mean, this is where I struggle because, like, yes, when you look at it in the sense of like he's a young person, he's not a young player. He's been around. He's been around for a while, and he's been he's played a grand final now. He's played for his country and everything like that. Like, experience-wise, he's not young. And yet this year he played with guys that are much more inexperienced, that showed so much more, I guess, motivation, grit, and grind that I haven't seen from him in years. Like, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just he's got a bit of a blasé attitude and it just doesn't, maybe we just don't see it. And maybe it is a harsh criticism of him, but I don't know. It's pretty telling when this guy who's being offered all of this money, who has all of these, like, I guess, like accolades with New Zealand and everything like that, who can't seem to ever be the reason that a team wins a game. Like, it was like, a lot of the time, even we saw it with Mitch, say a first half would be like a real kind of grind, and then we'd kind of get in front, and then Brown would fly and would kill it. And it was kind of like, you can't do it from kickoff though, can you? Like, he's got to kind of have that, like, I guess, like, step up first before he flies. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. Like, if he's meant to be the halfback, firstly, doesn't have a long kicking game. So what is their plan, to just try to never be caught?
Just run it on the last.
Like what is their plan? Who is going to take their kicks? Like, the difference in what Mitch has done kicking wise this year compared to Brown, considering Brown was the senior half, like, very telling. He only played halfback a couple times. So like, I get that Hawkins came in, he was of course going to do the long kicks. But when Hawkins was even out, and it, like, I'm like, why, like when it was Volkman, I'm like, why is Brown still incapable of getting a clearance kick out? Like, you've been in the halves for how long? And now all of a sudden he's going to be the one who's teaching. Anyway, it just annoys me. But anyway, he has like had one real kick in his game. And it's that one that we used to always get with Papali'i, that like half cross field next to the goalpost kick, where it's a perfect second rower one. The one that Munster and
Katoa.
nailed. They've absolutely nailed it. It's bloody. I was so mad that it happened against my team because it was beautiful. I hate when a good try happens against my team. It's so annoying. But yeah, he nails that kick. He's good at that. I mean, we haven't seen it in a while. Like he only pulled it out every, once in a blue moon. But yeah, I don't know what the plan is because Jackson Hastings is gone, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's definitely gone. And I guess it's meant to be Sharp, but Sharp is still, I think Sharp has so much promise, but at least with him, you can say he still has inexperience. He's been a winger, a fullback, a 5'8", the bloody...
Probably a center at some point.
Yeah, probably a center at some point. I'm waiting for them to put him on at, bloody prop. Like, he's played all around. And to his credit, fully embraces it. You can tell. I'll play wherever. You can actually genuinely tell he seems like that type of player.
He's a goer.
Yeah, he's absolutely a goer. And I don't think those two necessarily work together in the halves because one of them has to be the composer. One of them has to be the leader, the one that just calls the shots. The Broncos game was obviously Mitch's first game back after being out for ages. And one of the shots, I remember when whoever was the commentary, they were probably annoying. But anyway, they were talking about how composed Mitch was and everything. Straight away, just normal play, and he's barking out orders. And yes, everyone says, he's a dick. He just yells and screams. But that's what you need. You need someone who's going to stand there and say, you do this, you do this, you do this. I don't think I ever saw that from Brown. And that's a halfback. A halfback needs to be doing that. And so if he's meant to be the halfback at Newcastle, who's he going to bark orders to? No one? I can't imagine how he barks orders at anyone. I don't know.
I think when you compare him to someone like Tom Dearden, who's the same age, similar level of sort of NRL experience, and you go Dearden has matured more, and he's now become the actual 7. It's one where I feel like next year is either going to be make or break, and it's either going to look like, well, Newcastle have signed a 10-year halfback, great, and the 10 best years of his career, or Newcastle have gambled massively and lost. You look at the 10-year deals that there have been in history, Taumalolo, I think, was a great deal. And unfortunately, his body has just broken down over time. But I still think it was pretty good value for money, considering he was probably at the best level I've ever seen from a forward. And then Cherry Evans has just had that longevity of, well, the Sea Eagles haven't had to worry about who their halfback is for 10 years. And it's probably where they spent their money in other places that's been a little bit more troublesome. I do wonder whether I think Brown has it in him to be at that level, but I think it is all in his head, what he does with it. I do hope it works for him because I'll get tired of seeing the stories if it doesn't work. But I don't think it's a risk I would have taken if I was Newcastle.
No. It's a massive risk. If it doesn't work, then they've got to go back into the market for another halfback. And I right now have no idea who's available. Well, that was the Newcastle versus Penrith Panthers preview. Let's get into a potentially cracking affair. The main game on the Friday night, we've got the Canberra Raiders hosting the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles, and it is the Canberra Raiders who are coming into the contest as the favourites. They're sitting at approximately $1.45. The Manly Sea Eagles, they are $2.79. Some of the ins and outs, well, the Canberra Raiders, they're the exact same team as last weekend, who suffered their first loss in about 10 weeks, if that's correct. For the Manly Sea Eagles, Lehigh Hopewadi and Ben Trbojevic are out. That brings in Michael Cheekham to the second row. Tom Trbojevic moves back to fullback, and Tommy Talau will be deputising in at the centre position. Starting with you, Jack, Canberra Raiders versus Manly Sea Eagles. What do you make of this contest? What do you make of both of these sides?
Tell you what, you just said a bunch of words about the Sea Eagles that don't sound promising to me. I think Canberra's a really, really good team. I know that's not a hot take because they're coming first, but I still think they're slightly under the radar because they are Canberra. They're still they could probably win the next 20 comps in a row and the media will still treat them as that Super Saturday team, and they'll just give them like 2 token Channel 9 games in an entire year. I think they're really, really good. I think Ricky Stewart's done an amazing job with them overall, in general, across the entire time he's been there. But specifically this year, I think they've uncovered. They had a lot of players where you sort of go, where do they fit into what spots? Like KO Weeks, Xavier Savage, Sebastian Chris, Matt Timoko, those types of players. And I think they've found the right formula and they've stuck with it. I would have been tempted to try and find a spot for Ethan Sanders, but I think they've done a really good job in not rushing that. He'll probably be the halfback next to you when Fogarty's gone, but not rushing it and letting Strange keep playing and not trying to shift him into a different spot, because I don't think Strange came through as a half. I think he was a center. And then I think Manly, as a team, as a club, as everything, they're kind of the opposite, where they've got these pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, but instead of, creating what's on the box, they've created a monstrosity. And, when it comes to their cap, when it comes to what players they put in what spots on the field, and it's just meant that, one injury means that Michael Cheekham is playing in the year of our Lord 2025. Like, what's going on there? I don't understand what's happened with their roster management, where there's not one good kid somewhere in the country that's a back rower that could have a crack at first grade, because they're out there, but it's these clubs like this that are run by certain managers, basically, that just keep recycling this shit through the bottom of the NRL. And you look at how many games players like Matt Lodge have played for Manly over the past couple of years. What's his head? Nathan Brown. These players where you go, like, they might be able to do one good thing in a match, but they're not going to help you win a game of footy. Whereas Canberra have got this absolutely beautiful synergy going at the moment. And I don't think defensively Canberra are as good as like a Bulldogs, if you ignore the weekend, or a Penrith, if you ignore the weekend. But attacking wise at the moment, I think they're on a really good roll. And I could see this being a match where, like, if the Roosters were able to score 20 points on Manly in less than favourable conditions, I'd hate to see what Canberra can do to them at a very cold GIO stadium. I can only see this going one way. I'm much more confident in this than I am confident in like any other match this weekend.
Really? Okay. No, that's really interesting. So what I was doing just then, I was looking at, injuries and suspensions and whatnot. Yet they're missing Olakawatu. They've missed Paseka throughout the entire year, and Nathan Brown did his biceps. So they're really... There are a couple more than that, but in terms of their forward pack and what you're alluding to there, their depth in the forwards, man, it really wasn't there to begin with, to be honest with you. Like, it really was a case of if one goes down, there may be only one or two other players that can really fill that gap. And that's exactly what's happened, but it's happened a couple more times than that. And now they're, as you say, Michael Cheekham in the year of our Lord 2025 is playing on the edge, starting in second row this Friday night. He's starting, mate. He's starting. So the other thing too to mention here, so obviously Manly, they're sitting outside of the 8, Victoria, and they need to win to get themselves back into top 8 calculations. And to be honest with you, over the years, Manly don't fear GIO Stadium. That's why before last weekend, Victoria, if the Raiders didn't lose that game against the Dragons, it was actually this game that I was worried about the Raiders dropping, because next week they have their third and final bye. The Manly Seagulls have, on more occasions than not, have proven to be a bogey team for Canberra in Canberra. And I thought, Jesus, maybe this is the one that the Raiders have the upset in. But now they've lost that game. Now they've got that monkey off of the back, so to speak, and they've got a home game in Canberra the round before a bye. I'm with Jack, I think now that they've got that loss off their mind, I think they actually might win 13 plus. I'm going to go 13 plus for the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident in Canberra getting it done. I think losing Olakwatu was actually like, look, everyone said it, like it was very bad. But like when you look at the timing of when he went down, so when he went down during the Bulldogs game, I'm not going to say he is the sole reason why they were in that game, but he goes down and they got destroyed. What was it, like 42-4 or something like that? They were in that game. And so I think that is a real big out. I think he proves to be quite like a staple piece in their side that like they really need. And up until a couple years ago, obviously Turbo was the other one. And I don't think he's had a bad year, but we sure as hell have seen some real defensive laps from him this year.
Yep.
And I don't know. I get Hobart is out, and that's why he's moved back. I understand that. But when you've got like a KO Weeks like breaking free and stuff, and you know, he's just been running riot, and then like you've got like their backline, Canberra's backline are so like X factor. Like when you look at them, they're making magic happen at times. Like you can't really fault too many of them. Like they're kind of taking turns, and that's why Jack and I were talking about the Dali M selection, and I was like, oh, Weeks maybe, but then I was like, no, I feel like they're all robbing points off each other because
great point.
Like, you know, 1 second Weeks is doing something, and then it's Savage, and then it's Timoko, and it's like they're all just taking turns, and so I really worry about like what Tom at fullback is going to do to help Manly, because I just don't think he has it anymore. He doesn't have the speed, definitely. So they're and obviously it's not their fault Hopperwood is out, but they've lost that, and I think they've just replaced it with someone who at the moment seems like he is running in mud still. No fault of his own. It's just injuries. It's just what's happened. And so yeah, so I just don't see, despite all the previous, you know, bogey team kind of situations, I'd be very surprised if that happened this time around, because I think I would assume Ricky Stewart ripped into them. I can't imagine he was just like, oh, it was wet, we let it go, like let's move on. Like I guarantee, like I'd be pretty confident in the idea that he'd rip into them knowing that Bulldogs were actually a chance to take first place again. And I don't know how much clubs actually care about the minor premiership, but I feel like Canberra would potentially be one of those teams where it sends, in their minds, it sends a message. They're like, no, we want to be that dominant force to see out the rest of the year as well. We don't want to cruise into the finals just because we're guaranteed to play finals now. I'd be like confident in thinking, I don't think Stewart will even rest players leading into the finals, because I think they thrive off that momentum. I think they are one of those teams that I think they know that they will leak points in a game, but they back their attack so much to counter-argue that. Because look at how many games they've been neck and neck at halftime, and then they've gone out and destroyed the team. I think it was almost like 3 weeks in a row. It definitely happened to Para and then Newcastle.
They're like a really good Dolphins.
Sure. Yeah, and so I think they thrive off that momentum. And like once, like with the Para game, it was Para were up at halftime, and then they scored 3 tries in the final 10 minutes, and it's just that bam, bam, bam. They just work off each other so well, and I think even though that happens in a game, they carry that into each game, and they want to finish each game like almost that same sort of mentality. So I wouldn't be surprised if the game started neck and neck, and then they pulled themselves away, kind of similar to the Bulldogs game that we saw with Manly the other week. But I don't know, GIO has been like an 18th man for
yeah.
Like that crowd is just, they've really gotten all on board this year. Like they're really backing it, because I think they're really seeing that they are true. A lot of people, like Jack has said, like it's right. A lot of people have written them off and said like, oh no, I think they're pretenders. But like the fans are truly like, no. Oh my God, we've got an appearance from a cat. Hello, yes, darling. I think she agrees with camera. She's just staring right at the camera.
She's all in on the Raiders, she said.
Yes. Yeah, and I think, like the Canberra fans have just really ridden it, and they're like, no, we want that minor premiership. We want the premiership. And so I don't know. They've got a tough ask. And that game is going to be cold.
Yeah, it probably will be. Yeah, it probably will get down to about -1 on Friday night, I would suggest. Probably, yes. I did, mate. I did. Why do you reckon I moved up here to Queensland, bro? Oh, man. But I love what you said before about you still were hesitant about Trbojevic moving to fullback, because I was actually of the mind maybe you keep Turbo, you keep him in the centres and you keep his hamstrings, relatively protected, and you put Talatau Kola in at fullback, who has proven time and time again, every time he does play at fullback, he can rip and tear. So you're not missing anything. It's not a like-for-like replacement, but it's still just as you said before, V, Kola still brings that X factor that Lehigh Hopewadi has brought, even though I think Hopewadi has had not a second-year syndrome sort of thing, but it's just plateaued just a little bit, or it's just stagnated in his form throughout 2025. He still had some great moments for sure, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I would have taken on Kola to play at fullback and keep Turbo in at the centre slot, because it's not completely dire straits in the back line, is more to the point. So I think we're all back in the Canberra Raiders to win this game. I'm going 13+. Now let's move on to the next contest. And guys, I've just got to ask you, NRLW, have you been keeping a lazy eye on it, or have you been keeping both eyes on it?
I'm going to say whatever the in-between of that is.
Alrighty. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, yep. Jack, what about yourself, bro?
Yeah, just about the same. I'd say Victoria probably has watched a little bit more than me, mainly because she has a team that competes in it. It's something where I actually find it to be a really, really good quality of contest, like probably more even than the NRL, like the men's. I don't think there's the same level of disparity where, like, you're not going to see a team as good as the Raiders or like the Broncos doing what the Broncos did to South in the NRLW. Yep. No, obviously there's the thing about injuries and that type of stuff, but it's one where I'd say, aside from Canberra in the NRLW, I think every team's actually like pretty decent.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, let's get stuck into the first game of the weekend. This is round 6 of the NRLW, and it is the St. George Illawarra Dragons hosting the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks from Kogarah. And this game, we've got the Cronulla Sharks. They're coming into the game as $1.59 favourites. The St. George Illawarra Dragons, they are $2.37. I thought the odds would be a little bit closer than that. So for this one, we've got Casey Ray, who's back in. Maddie Studden is also playing NRLW. She is partnering Casey Ray in the halves. So the veteran is back in the spotlight this weekend. But Tegan Berry is still out due to a suspension. Going into the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Brooke Anderson is coming back in. Emma Verrin has been named on the reserves, so she might be a late inclusion. And the unfortunate thing, though, however, yin and yang, is that Tiana Penatani is out due to an injury. I've tipped the Dragons twice this year. They have come up trumps with me on 2 occasions. Sharkies, I think they're the most disappointing team in the NRLW this season, based off what happened last year. Looking at their squad this season, they shouldn't be only just beating the West Tigers. With all due respect to the West Tigers, who are a plucky team, the Sharkies should be absolutely belting them. And I think they've been very disappointing. Yes, a couple of injuries, but yeah, no, I think they have been very disappointing. Also, Tyler King, she moved from the Dragons. She's playing up against her old team. She's actually playing fullback in this game for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. If Tegan Berry was playing this game, I would have taken the punt on the St. George Illawarra Dragons, but I'm going to not play it safe, but I'm going to say the Cronulla Sharks get the victory and keep their season alive. What about you guys?
Yeah, I don't know. Penatani, oh, sorry, what is it? Penatani Green?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, I don't know why I thought green for a second. She is a big out. She definitely is a big out, but I think McGregor is a bigger out for the Dragons. I think that was because she, left the field due to a sin bin against Para.
The hip drop.
Yeah, the hip drop, which unfortunately has ruled out. Anyway, I won't go into that. So she left the field, and during that time, they were like, they didn't concede during that time, but their attack just wasn't clicking. Like, she's just clearly one of those players that can just kind of call the shots, kind of like control the ship a little bit better just due to her experience. So I think she's a big out. Barry is still a very big out. I thought Vela was very strong at fullback, but she also went down at the end. And I think she's just still showing she's quite inexperienced. I think that was only like her second or third game or something like that. And so she's playing, right? Or is she out?
Yeah, well, no. So I'll also confirm it there too. So the outs for the Dragons, they got a handful. So Margot Vela is out. You were correct in that. Nita Maynard-Perrin is also out. McGregor and Trinity Tauaniai as well. So yes, they are dealing with a fair bit of injuries. Yep.
That's tough because she was like, she had a couple of moments defensively where she was a little bit shaky.
That kick.
Well, yeah. But on attack, she was actually, she scored a try. She was really firing on attack. So I think having McGregor and her out, that's pretty bad. Maddie Studden playing though. That is pretty. That's interesting. I don't know what to expect.
Bit of Michael Cheekham in that.
Only you would connect the dots like that, man.
I've often called her the Michael Cheekham of the NRLW. I don't know why.
So we're tipping the Sharkies. We're all tipping the Sharkies in this one.
Yes, I agree that I think Cronulla's been probably the biggest disappointment of the comp so far. I thought, like, looking at their team, it kind of reminded me of that, like, team list on paper going into the season. It reminded me a bit of that, like, great Newcastle team of a couple of years ago. Hasn't exactly worked out that way. So, but I think we can all agree that the Cronulla Sharks being a disappointment in both the NRL and the NRLW is just a good thing for rugby league.
To stick the boot even more, the men's Cronulla Sharks are playing against the Dragons at the same venue in this one. And the odds for this one are the Dragons $2.52, the Sharkies $1.52. Some of the inclusions or exclusions here, the Dragons, they are unchanged after last weekend's victory, yes, against the Canberra Raiders. And then the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Jesse Colquhoun is out, Toby Rudolph is in. That is the only change for this one. Victoria, men's Dragons versus Sharks. What do you reckon?
Oh, look, whenever you say Toby Rudolph is in, I don't really know if that's great for the Sharks.
Terrible news for Cronulla.
Yeah, it's great news for the Dragons. Look, as much as I think that win meant a real lot to the Dragons, genuinely said with no disrespect, it felt like they had just won the grand final a little bit. Like, and I get it. Like, I'm a Para fan, you know? I've watched Gutho scream like that at full time many times, and it's when we've won our 5th game of the year, that sort of thing. I genuinely don't mean that disrespectfully. That's just how he, like, every win means that much to him, that sort of thing.
No, I get you.
I just don't think, unfortunately, they have the squad that can take a game like that and ride it out. Like, I think it's almost like they got, when they come down from that, it's almost like coming down from a high and they end up crashing. I wouldn't be surprised if Cronulla thrashed them, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was like 14-12. So I don't, that's more me not knowing what to get from both sides of it, but I'm expecting a little bit of a crash out from the Dragons and Cronulla managing to get it done.
All right, so Victoria's going Cronulla. Jack, what do you reckon?
It's an interesting one because I think the Dragons are a very interesting team. They're one of my favorite ones to watch as a neutral this year because, and that's not necessarily a compliment to them. It's their games are always interesting because you've got like, I feel like Sloan sums them up as a team where, like, one moment happens and you go, shit, that was crazy good. And then 3 or 4 more moments happen and you go, yeah, that was pretty bad. Why is he doing that? Why is he running with the ball underneath his jersey in his own in goal? Like that, like weird stuff happens in Dragons games. teams will either go on scoring streaks against them or they will go on scoring streaks. And someone is going to look like the greatest rugby league team of all time at some point in a Dragons game. You just don't know what team.
They've beaten the Brisbane Broncos. They've beaten the Melbourne Storm. They've beaten the Canberra Raiders.
Yeah. But and then like they can never back it up though.
Yep.
It's one of those things where I probably back Cronulla. I don't back Cronulla to do it convincingly.
No.
Because they're another team where I don't think they have been able to back it up really effectively. And, you know, they put on a good show against the Cowboys, but that they haven't been able to carry that through. And I'll probably, on the balance of things, still back the Sharks to get it done. But I could see it being a really, really tense, tight, low quality yet entertaining game.
And you know what? No, but I agree, man. Like this is called a derby. They're rivals and all that. Well, sorry, but I will be disrespectful. This is the worst rivalry in the NRL. This is the worst. This is the worst derby. Like, it's so boring, man. Like these games are always, as Victoria said, like a 14-12 scoreline. Usually that indicates high quality defense and all that jazz. But no, they're just they're such a slog to get through, man.
Yeah, it's a tough watch.
Yeah. Well, look, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
It's just the typical Super Saturday game. Like no one should be able to watch that game for free.
Well, hopefully that you guys, hopefully you guys don't get absolutely pissed on this weekend like you did last weekend. Jesus, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some dry weather footy. Hopefully Newcastle see some dry weather footy as well. This is the NRLW, Newcastle Knights versus the West Tigers. This game, the Newcastle Knights, they are $1.06. The West Tigers are $9.50. Jack, look, $9.50 on the West Tigers, who were with the Roosters in the first half. Yeah, they were with the Roosters in the first half, right? And yes, rain, the weather is the great leveler. And then the Roosters did run away with it in the end. Newcastle, they won 18-0 against the Raiders. Jessie Southwell, though, she's second in the Dally M at the moment. She's having a fantastic season.
Yeah, earlier, when I said that Canberra's the only bad team, I forgot about the Tigers. I forgot about the Tigers. I'll be completely honest. And I think the reason I forgot about them is because, like, with all due respect to them, I don't know what they've added to the competition in the entire time they've been in. As a club, as a the front office, they are the absolute basement of all clubs in the NRL, and I think that has reflected once the women have come into the comp. And it's why we've never really seen them lift off the bottom of the table. And it has meant that every win that they've had has felt really special. But I think they're in their third season now. We need to see more wins. We need to see some wins this year.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Maybe when they verse Canberra, I don't know. But it's one of those ones where I can see Newcastle winning in a similar vein to what they did last week, where you go, it's convincing. They don't really have to, push themselves to win it too much. And Southwell will probably get a try, 2 try assists, a few more Dally M points. She's an incredible player.
Yeah.
And for players like her, who she is a genuine, she is a half in the mold of what you have seen, in the men's game, I think. And I think those have been a little bit hard to come by in NRLW so far. I think someone like Pearson is that for Parramatta, and Briganshaw was that in her peak. For players like her this weekend, I almost feel like it's gonna feel like a training run, like an opposed session. And I could see Newcastle winning, I'll say 13 plus, but not more than, say, 20, but I really don't see where the Tigers get any points from.
Victoria?
Yeah. Completely unrelated to the actual teams. I'll tell you what, I am a little bit worried about that field because it's at McDonald Jones, isn't it?
100%, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so's the Penrith game.
Ooh.
So they've just done Magic Round, then the Penrith game, and now this.
It always rains on Magic Round, doesn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, because I'll tell you what, because Parramatta played the last game for Magic Round, that field looked terrible. And I don't, it didn't have
decent quality game though.
It was a decent quality game, but it still looked terrible. That doesn't, and I don't think it had a factor in the injuries, but considering the fact that like 5 players walked away injured, actually, that's a lie. It absolutely contributed to Vela's injury.
Absolutely.
She no contact.
Yeah. Well,
she got stepped, but
she was trying to make contact. She just didn't do it. She did the splits and like her knee went in. So like that sort of thing always really does throw a spanner in the works, because realistically, Newcastle should have killed the Raiders. And it was still it was a shutout, but like, I mean, when you've got Cronulla piling points on, then the next week Parramatta were able to I feel like conditions do have to be factored in what happens to cause, someone like Newcastle and someone like Southwell, who's, did you say leading the Delians or is second?
Second.
Yeah. Who's leading?
Isabel Kelly.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Fair
Yeah.
All right. Pretty good player.
She's all right, I guess. Cheat code. So when you've got a player like her, also, she's one of those ones, like, unlike Dylan Brown, who like you can tell every game means so much to her. Like I've watched her after a win before be like, oh yeah, like it wasn't good enough though. And like, did someone tell her she won? Like, does she know? Like she's just so like competitive and so like driven. So I don't know. That was a bit interesting. I didn't actually see that game. I missed that one. And I need to be completely honest. I haven't watched the Tigers play yet this year. It's just been one of those things. I've just been out and about, and I don't really make time to watch the Tigers. With all due respect,
in either gender,
in every level. So I haven't seen them, so I really can't say too much, but I think for Jack to say that they've offered nothing is so rude, considering they've got the best smile in the game at Pezzy Apps. Like, at least,
no, she's a treasure.
Yeah,
and I love her, and she's the greatest, New South Wales women's Origin player of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn. Well, I can't push back on that if that's his opinion, eh? Like, that's a massive call.
But like, and I'm glad for the comp that she's there, because without her, like, fold them.
I agree. Kezzy Apps, it feels like she's been around that long that she is 30 years of age, but she's still like mid to late 20s.
Really?
She signed a contract until the end of 2029. So Kezzy Apps is a part of the West Tigers fabric until that time. And without her, I respectfully agree with you to the Tigers, because without Apps, they're probably their for and against is right there with the Canberra Raiders. So I think we're all going for the Newcastle Knights in that one. And then we have a Bulldogs Warriors doubleheader in the NRLW and the NRL. Starting off with the NRLW, the Bulldogs versus the Warriors. And in this one, the Bulldogs are coming into the game as $1.50 for favourites. The Warriors are $2.49. Have you guys been able to soak up much of the new 2 kids on the block? This is the game that features the 2 new teams of 2025. To be honest with you, I've been more impressed by the Warriors as the weeks have gone on. I really I sponged up their game against us this past weekend. For the Bulldogs, they're still tenacious. It was a great fight back from the Gold Coast Titans. This is a pretty hard game to tip, but I think I'm going to go the Warriors in this one, 1-12 away from home.
Yeah. They're 2 that I've watched. It's been one of those ones where I've been able to watch like 1 or 2 games here, but I haven't been able to watch them consistently. I watched the first game for the Bulldogs, and I was really surprised by them. I was like, oh wow, I didn't expect them to come out like firing as much as they did. But it almost kind of seems like that I guess adrenaline has worn off on them a little bit, because I guess it's that idea of like first game, we got to like step up, everything like that. I don't know. It's a tricky one, because I also feel like both teams just haven't quite settled in the season. Yeah, like they still have their moments. Like Warriors handled Para. They just control. It was so controlled. It wasn't a thrashing. I think it was 14-0 or something like that. So they still shut us out, but like it was just a very controlled, like it was probably a boring game for many people, because it was just like 5 tackles, defend, 5 tackles, defend. Like it was just one of those kind of games, but we just couldn't seem to break through them. So I don't think they have a whole lot of, I guess like that crazy X Factor spark where it's like, that's where they find like this magic. They're just one of those ones. They just get it done. They're like, I don't know. I could be.
No, I agree with you. They're grinders, and the Warriors defensively. Well, in that game in particular against Parramatta, and this past weekend against the North Queensland Cowboys, very, very impressive. Like with some of the better defensive displays that I've seen in the NRLW for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dogs won, but I'm also going Warriors.
Jack?
It's one of those ones where I agree with what you guys are saying about them being sort of a grindy team. That, like you said, if there's probably one criticism of them, it's finding that spark. Forgive me, I forget her first name, but if she's anything like her dad, Ali Lawatidi's daughter debuted on the weekend for them. And, I mean, she scored a try, firstly. But, he was the ultimate spark in his career. Anyone who remembers those early 2000s Warriors teams. I'll be honest, I know nothing about her as a player. But if she's anything like her old man, that might be where they get a bit of that spark. And, you do need something. It's one of those ones where, because it is such a short season in the NRLW, I think like every loss, every suspension, everything like that matters so much more. And it's also why I kind of think that the suspensions in NRLW are a bit harsh. I think they should be curtailed a bit because, we want a quality game and we want people to watch it. But, if they do need that spark, then that might be where it comes from, because I wholeheartedly agree with you guys. Like, I think the Warriors are a better team, and I think they've been playing better footy. And I do think they're going to win against the Bulldogs, who, a bit of that shine has sort of come off a little bit. But if you look at the ladder, you would think it's the other way around. The Bulldogs are actually a fair few spots higher than the Warriors. But when it does come to the Bulldogs, I'm very interested to see how the rest of the season does go, as they have started to. It's almost like that, what you said about Lehigh Hopewadi earlier, where it's kind of plateaued a bit, where you wouldn't go they've been playing bad, but they haven't been hitting the heights that they were, like, for instance, with their first game. But they've got Braden Williami as their coach, who the only reason he's even there is because he had some family issues and needed to move back to Sydney because he was over at the Warriors in their coaching department. And the Warriors thought so highly of him that they just called the Bulldogs and said, can you guys give him something? And the Bulldogs had a bit of issues with their coach and had to get rid of him before they played a game. And, I think people know why. And so there was a spot there, and they've given it to him. And it seems like he's done a good job so far. We see a lot of these newer teams in the comp tend to struggle a little bit. That irrelevant team in the last game we looked at. But especially in this competitive Sydney market. But I think that they've built it really well. And I'm really interested to see if, I feel like this week could be the week that it does turn, if it does. But that being said, I am still backing the Warriors in this one as well.
Okay, no, interesting. I didn't think we'd all be going for the New Zealand Warriors, considering this is also based out at court as well. But no, that's fair game. That's fair game.
I just think obviously travel does come into it, but I wish we were getting really big crowds at the NRLW, but because we're not, I'm not sure if the home ground advantage is the same in NRLW as it is in other competitions where there are higher crowds. But that's all I had on that. Yep. And then the other Bulldogs Warriors game kicking off at 5:30 on Super Saturday. This contest is, well, let's scroll down. The Bulldogs are coming into the game as the favourites as $1.35.
the New Zealand Warriors are coming into the game at about $3 plus. Just looking into the team lists for both of these sides, I'm scrolling down now. For the this game's the 7:30 game. I apologise. So Jacob Laban is out. James Fisher-Harris has been named on the reserves for the Warriors. Bunty Afoa's there, but that's just about it. And Toby Sexton, nothing really there. Changes for the Bulldogs, I don't think. Samuel Hughes, Jacob Preston, James Salmon, Sherry, Crichton, Tuala. Can't believe that Crichton, I know that it was a bit of a slip up, but can't believe that Crichton is actually getting away with it this weekend, and he gets to back up. For the New Zealand Warriors, I think they're on the slippery deep. Something fierce. I'm really scared for the New Zealand Warriors. They did well against the Dolphins in a high-quality affair. They take on the Bulldogs in Sydney, and the Doggies after last weekend, I think they're kind of specials to go on and win this contest. I think the Bulldogs probably, as you said before, Jack, I think Bulldogs win this 13 plus, but not extravagantly so. I'm going the Bulldogs 13 plus in this one.
Yeah, Jack just checked his weather app and he was thinking the exact thing as me. It is meant to rain.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So basically put your house on the Warriors. No, I don't know. I actually don't think, I get it. They've had a fair few bad performances in the rain, but they've also won games in the rain as well. Like half our season has been in the rain, basically, it feels like, unfortunately. I agree with you. I think, I really feel for the fans. But it's just been brutal for the Warriors, unfortunately, this tail end of the season. They've lost Egan now for a few weeks. I think Fisher-Harris is on the extended bench. So he's like, ooh, he might play, knowing their luck he won't. It's been tough, I think. Tanner Boyd is a very good New South Wales Cup halfback. I think he's unfortunately that sort of player that's too good for New South Wales Cup, but still not quite good enough for the NRL. And in that case, then it makes sense that he only comes in for injury. But at this stage of the season where they're trying to maintain top four, I really struggle to see how they do, especially when Penrith are cheating their way into the top four. I'm joking. But yeah, it is a bit brutal for them. I'm interested to know what exactly the team list will be come Saturday night, though, because Lachlan Galvin has an asterisk kind of next to his name because of his hand and his ankle. So
yeah, true.
Apparently they wouldn't even be going for Sexton. Apparently it's Mitch Wood that they were
Mitch
looking.
Woods. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
yeah. That I could be wrong. That's me trusting someone at work, so he could be very wrong. But yeah, so I don't know 100%, but I'm also surprised Crichton got nothing. I'm very surprised he didn't even get a fine. To not be charged in any way actually did kind of shock me. I also was very shocked that he didn't get sin-binned during the game. But we've seen it before where he gets away with murder, basically. So yeah, I don't know. That's a bit of an interesting one, but I think that's a real boost, obviously, for the team overall. I do really think they struggled without Connor Tracy, though. I think I actually made a tweet about it that his value had skyrocketed during that game. So I'd just be very interested to see if anything changes with how Kiraz handles the game, because I didn't think he was poor. I definitely didn't think he was poor. I just, if you play on the wing for so long and then you get thrown in at fullback in the conditions that they were playing in, you become a spine player. And obviously it's how he injects himself in the game. I just think he missed the mark at times. Still scored a great try and stuff like that. But I think maybe that one game under the belt now kind of, cruising. I'd expect a bit of a better game from him. So I don't know. Yeah. I actually genuinely think this is quite a difficult game to predict just based off not knowing what exactly the lineup is going to be, but knowing the guaranteed outs for the Warriors, I would assume that the Bulldogs are going to win.
Jack?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was looking at the weather because I do think it is a leveler, but I don't think it's enough to get the Warriors over the line. I just think it's enough to bring them back into the game. You know, I've been a bit of a defender of the Warriors and how they're tracking for the past couple of weeks, because I just thought, like, I don't think you can rule them out, and I still don't think you can rule them out entirely. But I think they need to turn things around before I can start like sort of tipping them in individual matches. I'm really interested in what they should do with their halfback situation, because I've heard some people saying that, like, when does Jet Cleary get a run? I don't think throwing a rookie in who already has a big surname in rugby league in general, but especially with that club, I don't think throwing him into halfback at a late stage of the season when they're heading into finals, when they're just clinging on to top 4, is the right thing for him or for the Warriors. I think it's pretty clear that Tanner Boyd isn't the long-term option, but I think right now he is the better option of the two. And I think that continuity plays a massive part. And I think keeping your 7 steady is a really big and important decision. I think we've seen the negative side of not doing that with, say, like a Newcastle. It's one where I think it was fair that Toto didn't not Toto. I'm going to reference Toto in a second. I think it's fair that Crichton didn't get suspended, but I thought, because there are the mitigating circumstances of Taylor and May was slipping, but I think when you look at, like, that Toto got charged for another hit in the head.
I remember that. Yep.
It's also on a player that's low down. And when you bring into those mitigating circumstances, he still got a charge. Didn't get a suspension for it, but at least there was a charge, whereas Crichton didn't get one. I get why he wasn't sin-binned, although I would have been okay with him being sin-binned. But with the Bulldogs, I do think this is another one of those teams, similar to what, like, we've sort of said about the Raiders, about it's a real opportunity for them to make a statement and show that last week was a one-off. And I don't necessarily think they're going to go out and win this, massively, but I do back them to win 1-12. And I think at this stage of the season, any win over a top 4 rival is valuable, even if it means that the Warriors aren't top 4 by the end of the game. But yeah, I back the Bulldogs 1-12.
Jesus, all right, we're all going bloody Bulldogs here for the double header. We got the Dolphins, which is the Saturday 5:30 game. Dolphins hosting the Sydney Roosters. Now the Roosters come into the game at about $1.70 favourites. The Dolphins come into it at $2.10. Calling that game with Dan from the Rugby League Outlaws the other day, and seeing Herbie Farnworth getting sniped was one of the more, I don't know, like, it wasn't graphic in like a gore sense, but like it was just so graphic, the way he just got held up and the way everyone just collectively just sighed, because Herbie Farnworth, he still might get Dally M Centre of the Year based on his form, and he won't play the last 6 weeks of the season, right? Yeah. The Sydney Roosters, man, the Dolphins, I think if they just, I've said this all year about the Sydney Roosters, that they will let you into the game. The Roosters, they are notorious for dropping the pill. They will make the errors. They will concede the penalties. If the Dolphins stay disciplined, I think they've got the attack to split them. They themselves need to defend, however, the Dolphins. At times, the Warriors were breaking them at will. The Roosters have also pumped the Dolphins at Suncorp earlier this season. That was a part of Magic Round. As a matter of fact, the Roosters, they've played at Suncorp 3 times this season, if I'm not mistaken. The Broncos, the Dolphins, and somebody else. But they are undefeated at Suncorp as well in 2025. So this is a massive game. It's 8th versus 9th. The Roosters are behind the Dolphins, but the Dolphins for and against means that the Roosters are 2 wins, 4 points behind them, basically, such as the Dolphins for and against. It's a game where you see the injuries and whatnot, and you think, yeah, maybe this is the one that the Dolphins drop. and the Roosters, they come in and pip them. But I think for the past 20 weeks or so, you would have gone against the Dolphins. You'd tip the Roosters, but I don't know. They've been so impressive with the next man up mentality, the Dolphins, that I'm going to take them in Brisbane. I'm going to take them at $2.10, and I'm going to say that the Dolphins can beat the Roosters if they can play their disciplined game. I'm going to say the Dolphins win this game in a thriller.
Yeah, I think this one is by far the hardest game to tip this round. I don't think it's hard because both teams I think have been quite inconsistent. So I think it really depends on what team shows up on the day, as like savage as that sounds. But in a weird way, it's almost like they're playing themselves. It feels like these two teams, like there's so many comparisons that you can say where what we've seen from them this year are so similar to the other. So I'm going to be annoying and I'm going to pick a draw.
Yo, true. It's true. Wow. Well, okay, Jack.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that the Dolphins are outsiders. Like I know that they had like the Herbie injury, for instance, and yeah, you're right. It wasn't like gory, but it was really graphic. Like it was one of those injuries where I felt like everybody watching it felt like their hamstrings were going watching it. The way that he like sprung up and then got carried off. It was very. I don't think I've seen many hamstring injuries where it's been like so visible to everyone, rather than it just sort of looking like a strain. Yeah, I can see the Roosters perhaps going up like 8-0 fairly early, maybe 12-0, depending on goal kicking. And then the Dolphins going on a bit of a streak of scoring, which they've done plenty of times this year. And I could see the Roosters really feeling like the world's against them, which I think mentally the Roosters are a bit of a weak team and they're very big victims. And I think it's reflected in their press conferences, the way that Trent Robinson blames the referees a lot. I think it's reflected in the attitude of their players on the field, the way people talk about like the Moses and the Gutho with this sort of stuff, and that Tedesco does it in a different way, where he almost runs up to the referee like being like, not what the hell are you doing? He's more like, why are you being so unfair to us? Like, and it's really weird. And I can see this sort of like being one of those games where the Dolphins just start scoring at some point, similar to like they did against Melbourne earlier in the year, and the Roosters beginning to dig a bit of a hole for themselves. I don't think they have the resolve to get out of it. And I think there's also just a few too many questions about who's going to be playing in the halves for them, that kind of thing. I can see this being one of those matches where just a few of the distractions that are going on really get in the way. You've got a player like Spencer Leniu, who left Penrith to get out of his comfort zone. Well, I'll tell you what, that guy is not comfortable because he's really not doing what he promised he would do. I think he's doing an okay job. He's doing a fine job, but nothing more than that. And I think this Dolphins forward pack is full of players who are going to make you work for it. And I don't know if the Roosters forward pack is going to keep up with that. I think the Dolphins halves are playing better footy right now. I think the only sort of spot on the field where the Roosters are playing better is like their back three, because Tedesco and Tupou are just timelessly good and Marky Mark is a bit of a freak, but then they all have their errors in them as well. So I see the Dolphins winning this. I don't know if this is controversial, but I see it being 13 plus.
Wow.
And yeah, watch me be horrendously wrong on that though. Because
don't doubt yourself. No, don't doubt it. You've picked it before, mate. You've picked it before.
The Roosters, and long may it continue. Apparently,
yeah. Now, just a couple of names here I do want to mention. It's Tavita Nafahu, who was playing in at centre for Herbie Farnworth, and also Kulikefu Fenefuiaki is back for the Dolphins as well, coming off of the bench. Felice Korfusi, he is. I miss him dearly. Felice Korfusi is suspended, I believe. I wouldn't have him playing first grade for the rest of his life to be honest with you. That shot was fucking disgusting. He broke Laban's leg, the poor bastard. And I would, I'd be cutting up his contract, Kaufusi, just quietly. That's the old Melbourne Storm Kaufusi that came out over the weekend, just quietly.
Yeah, he's the one.
100%.
Madison.
Yeah,
that's right too. Yes, I remember that. Yes, I just want to say, Jag, g'day guys, and rugby league history. Jason Reader, he's a Roosters supporter. He's now just punched his freaking computer because we've all basically tipped against the Roosters this weekend. Sorry, Jason, mate.
Against them.
Your team's shit, mate.
I didn't.
I know you didn't, Victoria, but 1 point can't help Eastern Suburbs. It will hinder them big time. Well, let's go into the next game. We've got a few more contests to go. Wait a minute. News in. Jag says Maverick Guy signs with the Tigers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's off contract. Hasn't been offered a new deal.
That is breaking news for me. Maverick Guy is signing with the Tigers. Holy crap. Well, they've just signed Kai Pearce-Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to be absolutely got Samuel Afanu playing as well. They're absolutely going to be chock-a-block for friggin' second rowers next season, just about. Alrighty. We'll go through these ones quickly. Gold Coast Titans versus the Roosters in the NRLW. I'm actually really looking forward to this one, though. The Gold Coast Titans come into the game as $4.50 outsiders. The Roosters are $1.20. I'm really looking forward to this contest, but I do think that the Roosters go up to the Gold Coast and get the job done. It's a massive opportunity for the Gold Coast, but I think the Roosters get the dub.
Yeah. Sorry, I will disclaimer, our girl, we will push off because that's fine, but this boy gets a lot of anxiety. So we're just trying to be a little bit more gentle with him, but he just clearly wants the spotlight right now.
Yeah.
So sorry about him. Wow, those odds really surprised me. I think the Titans obviously started the season quite shaky. I think two decent losses, but since then I feel like they've looked like they've shown a lot of promise. A couple of like decent wins. What's the ladder? They can't be far off the Roosters on the ladder. I mean, the Roosters haven't lost, but
the Titans are seventh. Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. Oh, I thought they were higher up. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Yeah. Go on, Roosters. We'll go. I thought, how many losses do they have? I thought the Titans.
2 losses, 2 wins, 1 draw.
Oh, the draw, of course. Because I was
Yeah.
going to say, I was like, 2 losses. Like they're because what round is it? It's round 6. Round 6.
The
So
Roosters are 5-0.
No, I know, but I thought it was I don't know. I guess the draw does obviously make quite a difference on such a condensed ladder.
It means so much more in rugby league than in certain other sports.
Yeah.
It's actually huge. It like for the Bulldogs and the Titans to be sitting 6 and 7.
Yeah.
It's absolutely enormous. Absolutely enormous.
Yeah, wow. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Titans managed to win and if they were the ones to hand the Roosters their first loss. I have to admit the Roosters are another team I actually haven't watched this year, but based off social media, it seems like they've just picked up like where they've always left off, like that they're just doing what they do. And a lot of people seem actually quite annoyed by it. Like, I think that this sort of thing isn't great for the NRLW because like when you've got people trying to get interest, it's like I've been saying it about Penrith that I think if Penrith were to go 5 straight, like you'll get a lot of people lose interest because people don't want to watch the same thing every single year. They don't want to watch the same team. Most people don't want to watch the same team dominate all the time, but especially in not what is a struggling competition, but what is still a developing and growing competition. So I hope the Titans win, and based on that, I'm going to tip them just because I want them to win.
You're putting out the positive vibes for the Titans.
Yes, I am.
Jack?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the Roosters, I talked about what I thought the Sharks were going to be. And it turns out it's actually that the Roosters are that. They just are this juggernaut that look pretty unstoppable at the moment. The Titans are an interesting one because you've got some good players like Hale and Bent, who I think like you could make a strong case that they would be in the Roosters team. I don't think there's too many more players who you'd go like, oh yeah, they're a starter. There's the obvious X factor in Jamie Chapman. who's playing fullback. And like I know that that's like that was her position coming through before she made NRLW. And I think she played for the Indigenous All-Stars at fullback.
I think so, yeah.
But it's one of those ones where, like, whilst that's good and that it gets her the ball more and everything like that, I almost feel like she's the type of player who needs to be on the end of things, not creating things. And I found her to be just a bit of a cheat code when she was at center in NRLW, where you take a few steps out, you give her the ball when she's still sort of like 7-8 meters away from the defensive line, and let her wind up that run where she can isolate a defender, and she'd score like every time. And I don't see the same opportunities coming in the same way at fullback. But that being said, like, she naturally is a fullback. So if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I just don't think it's her best. I don't think it's the best position for the Titans for her to be in right now. But I don't think it's going to matter anyway, because I see the Roosters getting the win here and making it a 6-0 start. They kind of remind me a bit of like the early NRLW Broncos, where they're just a bit of a machine. They're kind of like robots at this point, where they just go out, do their thing, and win.
That's the thing too. Yeah. Like it's been Roosters and Broncos since 2018, since the NRLW started. So yeah, the injection of the Newcastle Knights and the Parramatta Eels in 2021, 2022 was huge, because they hit the ground running and really impressed. But yeah, so I agree with Victoria though, that we do want to see. Yeah, we need. It's more important in the NRLW that there are different winners in comparison to the NRL. I absolutely agree with that sentiment. We'll go into the next one. I think this one is going to be cut and dry. Brisbane Broncos versus the Canberra Raiders down there at GIO Stadium. I reckon. What do we got here? We got the Broncos, favourites, and Raiders. They're sitting well off the edge, off the pace. Are we all going Brisbane Broncos in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. What the Tigers were paying? What, $9.50?
Yep.
How much are the Raiders paying?
The Raiders, they are paying. Stand by. Let me bring her up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, $9, and the Broncos are $1.07.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I'm trying to find some positive to think about.
Well, there's look, the young fullback, Elise Simpson. She's 18, 19 years old, green as grass.
Good player.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of like there really is quite a similarity between the Tigers and the Raiders, where like they've got some of those younger players that are showing a lot of spark, but it just feels like they haven't got it kind of like flowing yet. Like, I think this is just going to be a bit of a rough, maybe start to the season, and then maybe
you don't get a chance to flow, do you?
Yeah, it's just that's the thing with it still being such a short season. I don't know. Yeah, we've seen moments, but I mean they gave it to Para at times, and then Para just ran away with it. But like, if they can grind out a game, I think they could win it. But with someone like the Broncos, I don't really see how they give them the opportunity to grind it out, to be honest.
The two players that left the Raiders before the season kicked off, P.E. Nichols, who's playing for the Warriors, she's not there anymore. She was a massive cog to the machine. And then Ash Quinlan, who's playing 5'8" for the Bulldogs. She's had a really strong season for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. So they're missing those two players big time. And look, the Brisbane Broncos, Tamika Upton, like, what else can be said about Tamika friggin' Upton? But coming off of the bench, this is interesting. So Brill is in jersey 14. Chelsea Lenarduzzi is in 15. Shanae Shazolka returns to the NRLW off of the bench in jersey number 16 with Shalom Soaso in at 17. So interesting that Shazolka, always known as a centre, Queensland representative, is coming off the bench in jersey number 16. So once again, I ask, we're all going to tip the Brisbane Broncos in this one?
Yeah, if you've got a player as good as Lenarduzzi on the bench, and like we talk about like Upton at fullback, but there's even someone like Gail Broughton at 5'8". Like it's a pretty good team when you find room to put both of those players in.
Her.
Yeah.
I miss her.
Bloody oath, you would. Bloody oath. All right, so we got the Spoon Bowl 2025 edition with about 6 or 7 weeks to go. And this one, the Gold Coast Titans, they are coming into the game, if I'm not mistaken. They are the favourites. I'm just scrolling down now. The Gold Coast Titans. Yeah, Gold Coast Titans, they are $1.49 favourites. The South Sydney Rabbitohs, they are $2.63. Now, the team list for this, Lewis Dodd has been officially punted as of about 2 hours ago. He is on the boat. He is on the boat back to England. Jamie Humphries returns. He plays at halfback. And we've got Brandon Smith, who has been named on the interchange. I reckon that's a very, very quick recovery time for him. So good on him. We've also got Latrell Mitchell, who has been named on the extended bench for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. For the Gold Coast Titans, I believe that they are the same 1-17 that went within a whisker last weekend, except Philip Sammy. Sammy is out due to concussion. Alefiana Khan-Pereira comes in. It's amazing to think that Alefiana Khan-Pereira has pretty much been discarded for 3/4 of the season, considering his pace and his youth as well, man. He should have been given a bit more time to learn the ropes. The Titans, there's two things here I want to say before I hand it over. The Titans, they always put in a late season charge and go, this is it. This gives me hope for the next season. No, stop it. Stop it. Don't fall for the trap, because this game against the South Sydney side, who have been working so vigorously this season, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if you guys have you guys ever seen anything like it, South Sydney Rabbitohs this year? No. And so, with all that being said, I'm actually this close to tipping South Sydney because I don't want to trust the Titans. But they went so close to Penrith last weekend, and they have such a healthier team that I can't tip against the Gold Coast Titans, but I'm so close to tipping the South Sydney Rabbitohs in this one. This is a game that feels like that the Titans will drop like a cold spud.
Yeah, it's one where I'm going to straight up say I'm tipping the Titans. I think the Titans team this week is slightly better than last week's because I think Philip Sami is one of the worst players in the NRL. No offense to him.
Really? You don't like Philip Sami?
I do not like Philip Sami.
Hate him.
There's something about him. I think he's probably slightly better than Brian Kelly, who unfortunately for the Titans is on the same team as Philip Sami. No, I just think Khan-Pereira is a bit of an upgrade on him in terms of what he brings attacking wise. Defensive wise, probably not, but it's the Titans. If they clearly don't prioritize defense anyway, given the way they've played for the past 18 years. They have a good forward pack. I was just looking at that team and you go there's not even Tino Fasul Malawi in there, but it's still a very good team. You've got players like Bo Firma, who is all heart and is a damn good player at the exact same time. Regan Campbell-Gillard, he's not what he was, but he's still a good NRL prop, and he's coming off the bench. Then they've got Brimson and well, yeah, that's a good comment about Philip Sami right there. You've got Brimson and Jaden Campbell, who are both just exciting X Factor sort of players. There was a bit of debate over the weekend that we were having with a few others watching the Titans game about who's a better player out of Campbell and Brimson. I'm Team Brimson.
I'm Team Campbell.
She's Team Campbell.
I'm Team Campbell.
It's all right. You can both be wrong. It's fine. But even someone like Sam Verrills, I think is a damn good player. And you then look at that Souths team. I feel bad for them because they all have the heart of a player of someone like Bo Firma. They're all given everything, but they're just not there yet in terms of the individuals because they're not ready. They shouldn't be there. And it reminds me of sort of when teams had a lot of injuries during COVID seasons and you couldn't bring in certain amounts of players and that type of thing. And so you were seeing some very weird additions to team lists. And like they had to travel up to Brisbane last week. They've had to travel up to the Gold Coast this week. They definitely haven't spent the week up there because half of their players are part-time and had to go back to work probably anyway, so they couldn't have a week off. I just don't see a world where Souths get a win here unless Latrell Mitchell plays, when I might change my mind for that, but for that only. And
Latrell Mitchell, just before you take over, Victoria, there were some people, or there was a conversation on some podcast earlier. I can't remember genuinely, but I do remember there was a conversation had that, do you just rest Latrell Mitchell for the rest of the year, even if he is right to go in the final 2 to 3 weeks? Victoria, if he said no, and I'm sure he wants to play, but if he said no, I'd be putting on my size 10 boot and I'd be booting him onto the paddock and saying, no, get the fuck out there and help your teammates who have been working so hard this season, and help them try and get across the line this weekend.
Yeah. Look, selfishly, considering the fact that Souths play Para next week, I hope he doesn't play again this year. But I've been trying to decide whether I would rather him back this weekend or if I would rather him back next week. Because I'm like, well, if he comes back next week, he might be a little bit shaky still. You know, you've just come off an injury and I've been out for a while. But then, I don't know. I guess there's always still, I don't know. I can't decide. That's irrelevant because I can't control that. I don't think they would rest him for the rest of the year. I think this is pretty indicative that he is going to play again this year. It's just a matter of whether it is this week or next week, which I think is good. That is like the way it should be. I think for the most part, I think Bennett himself in the press conference said every one of our injured players will play again this year. I don't know if that also meant Cameron Murray. I doubt it.
I think you meant like once they're fit.
Yeah, like those that aren't ruled out for the year, I'm guessing. So I think that is good. I always wonder how much teams do genuinely care about the wooden spoon. Like, are they actually using that as a motivator?
I think they are.
Surely. Like, you'd think so. And there is genuinely, I think, 6 teams that could win the wooden spoon this year. And I hate that, obviously, Para is one of them. And there was a comment before that we laughed at that was saying about next week being another wooden spoon fight because it's Para South, unfortunately. So it's a bit of an interesting one. Yeah, I can't tell how much that would motivate each of these teams. But like it is a pretty big factor. I don't know. I think if Latrell plays, I still don't know if it's enough to get them over the line, because who is in the halves with Humphreys?
Ashton Ward is his name.
Was that the one who played last week? That's
right.
Looks 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh gosh, darling. Yeah. Well, he just looks like a baby. That's the thing. He's just so young still. Like, clearly wasn't probably meant to make his debut this year, and it's just had to happen. I think it can go either the Titans crash out because they ended up losing that game last week, or they fire because they lost that game last week. Jaden Campbell, in my opinion, was the best half on that field last week. And I thought if he can carry that energy through this game, I think they might like handle it. Not easily, but I think it won't be that much of a challenge for them. But if he finds himself rattled as much as he does when a trainer runs in front of him, then that's where South could have that upper hand, because I do agree with the idea that South, even though they're going through all this, they're sitting there going, we are still going to give our absolute all, because they were in that game for a little while against the Broncos, and then the Broncos just obviously
they were at halftime.
Well, yeah. So I think they will be a team that will still make teams suffer this year. I think they just can't get themselves over the line necessarily. So I think a lot of it does fall on the weight of someone like Jaden Campbell, who is definitely better than AJ Brimson. So with that, I'm going to go Titans, but I don't know. This is a hard one, a very hard one.
I don't trust the Titans, but I'm going to tip them, but I don't trust them. This is with Brandon Smith coming off the bench as well. Yes. We've got a question here from Jack. Should the NRLW Magic Round stay in Newcastle next year, given the unfortunate horrible weather? Yes, because we don't friggin' know what the hell's going to happen next year in regards to the weather. So, yeah, I think they should be given another crack. What about you?
I think it's the only option, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it isn't big enough for your Suncorps. Locality-wise, the Gold Coast Stadium isn't really an option. I think Parramatta isn't an option because Penrith aren't. Penrith Stadium won't be built yet. Parramatta need them. The Tigers need to rent out every single stadium in Sydney as well, so they use them, and then that's too many teams use them. Allianz too big. I still think.
I just don't think it belongs in Sydney.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know where else it would go. And unfortunately, the thing is, it wasn't just Newcastle. It poured rain in Sydney as well. Like, it was horrendous. And, unfortunately, we've dealt with it. That's a shout. That would be fun. I don't know if North Sydney Oval could handle it, though. I don't know what their actual, facilities are like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one Origin game, was good, but for an entire weekend, I don't know.
Entire weekend.
They do New South Wales Cup Magic Round there. They have done that before.
Do they?
I thought that was at Henson.
A couple of years ago they did it at North Sydney Oval for sure, because it was on the same week. It's the same week. It was the same weekend as NRL Magic Round. That is an interesting shout. My other thought would be Wollongong.
Yeah.
In the same mold as Newcastle, but at the same time, I also think Newcastle, in terms of as a city, have the best rugby league supporters in the country, and I kind of feel like they deserve an event. And so I go let them have it. And you would have got better crowds if it was better weather, because the one downside to Newcastle's ground, which is a fantastic ground, is that 7 of the 33,000 seats have shade, have coverage.
Yeah.
But it does. I still also think the ground needs to be one with a hill, because you do get a lot of kids going to it, and that's who you want going to NRLW. And the kids love the hill. They love to run around. It's a bit more comfortable for their parents to be able to still watch the game while their kids run around, so they don't have to go to a concourse to watch them, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think those factors need to be taken into account, and that's why I think Newcastle should keep it, in my opinion. But I could also see North Sydney Oval being a very good option. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
What's that? Your cat's name?
Oh,
Felix.
Felix. What was Felix saying just then? Take it to New Zealand. Oh,
he clearly agrees with North Sydney Oval.
You once said on the island of Suva in Fiji.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Felix. Now, we are into the final. G'day, Luke Melbourne Storm. How are you? V, I have lined you up specifically for this friggin' doubleheader. The final game of round number 23, Parramatta versus North Queensland Cowboys. Coming into the game, the Parramatta Eels, they are the favourites. Parramatta, they are $1.62. The North Queensland Cowboys, they are $2.30. Now, the outs for the Parramatta Eels, Victoria, Sam Tuivasa and Sean Russell are out. Will Penasini, Jordan Samrani, they are your centres. Coming off the interchange, De Silva, Moretti, Duri, and Kelmatu Alangi comes back. Dylan Brown has been named on the extended reserve, so he might be a late inclusion, potentially. Doubt it, but no, I don't know. For the North Queensland Cowboys, a stack of ins. So Drinkwater, Laybutt, and Burns are the back three. We've got Vilea returning after seemingly 3 months out of the game, with Jackson Purdue reverting back to the centre position. The halves are Jake Clifford and Tom Dearden. Harrison Edwards, Reece Robson, and Jason Taumalolo are the front rowers. Taumalolo returning for the first time in also 2 to 3 months. John Bateman, Nene, and Cotter in the back row. Interchange, Marley Bittungan, Thomas McKaylee, Kai O'Donnell, and Cohen Hess. And that is the North Queensland Cowboys men's team. Victoria.
Yeah.
Victoria.
I don't know. Genuinely, Para being favourites I would say purely has to fall on the fact that it's at home. Just because, like, obviously I've been very impressed with the last 2 weeks specifically. And then maybe the month before that, they've shown some real promise. But, you know, to play the Storm and only lose by 6, I think anyone hearing that would be like, oh yeah, that was a hell of a battle. And it was at times. They still made 14 errors. Like, that's bad. That's where I think Melbourne should have killed us. Like, they should have piled it on. And like, we just, at least to Para's credit, and it's been a couple years since I've really felt like I could say this, they just wouldn't give up. And I think in the past we've seen them put their head down and just accept that they've lost a game. Whereas obviously this one, they stayed in it all the way until full time pretty much. Unfortunately, the final set was in our hands basically. And, you know, that went how it went. But I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm very nervous, if I'm completely honest, because if you look at the last 3 weeks, this should be the one where I go, oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But for some reason, it's the one that I feel like we're most likely to lose, just because history has shown me Para tend to lose the ones they should win. But like, this is a different Para team this year. And so I need to keep trying to remind myself that, you know, the young guys we've got, the promise that they've been showing is just, it is genuinely so positive. Like, I don't really have too many complaints with them, like, as a whole. It's a lot of it is, you know, calm down, pull your head in. Like, you don't need to throw that offload at that time, Junior. And Junior repeatedly, constantly throwing offloads that he doesn't need to throw. Hopgood, you know,
don't touch the ball.
Yeah, just don't touch it. You know what? Just be a body on the field. No, I say I don't have complaints, and then I say something like that. But in all sincerity, it's those senior guys that are letting us down lately, because I don't see like little like spark plays trying to make magic happen as letting us down, because I'm so glad to see them trying shit. I really, really appreciate that. But I worry about a lot of, like, I can't believe how many players you have coming back for this game. I can't believe it, because on the weekend, the Cowboys did not look great. It was not a great performance. Like, it was pretty abysmal, I would say. But you can't look at that team and then look at this team and say that's going to be exactly the same, because the experience and the leadership that a guy like Tamalolo brings to the squad, that alone has me shaking. You know, I know that his body has let him down, and yeah, he's missed a shit ton of footy lately, but you still, like, you can't write him off realistically. Like, he's still, I don't know, even if he doesn't.
He's still Jason Tamalolo.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I really hope we don't go in. I would like to think that a team second last would never be complacent, but if there is going to be a team that would be complacent at second last, it probably is Para, and that's what scares me, because I just hope that they haven't been reading their own press. Why the hell Andrew Voss said Ryle should be coach of the year, I don't know, but I just hope none of them heard that.
Whoa.
You don't even like Jason Ryle.
Oh, shut up. Stop. He's developed this new joke that I don't like Riles, which just annoys me, because I'm finally been positive for once in my life, and he's decided to shit on me for it.
Now let's highlight some matches, right? So we have got Josh Adokar and Jordan Samrani. They are going to be taking on Zach Leibart and Viliami Vailea down Parramatta's left edge. Zach Lomax and Will Penasini, if I'm not mistaken, Victoria, they're going to be taking on Jackson Purdue and Braden Burns. What scares the shit out of me is that young Jackson Purdue has had a massive season, and he has stood up 3/4 of the year. He's a young man, and for any bad game he may have had, for all the smashings that North Queensland have copped, I don't blame him in any way, shape or form, not a single percentage. But we're going to have Zach Lomax and Mitch Moses, Penasini, running down that Purdue, Tom Dearden, Jeremiah Nene channel. And as much as I love Tom Dearden, that channel has leaked like a sieve. It has been graphic. on that edge, left edge defensively. Purdue has been targeted. It has worked more often than not. So you want to talk about a weakness specifically, it is that left edge defensively for me, where Purdue will be lining up against Penasini. Purdue, again, he has stood up, but Penasini is a blockbusting runner. And I think he's had a good year. I don't know what you would make about Penasini's season, but I would say Penasini has been good. And with the way that he carries the ball, maybe not a how do I say it? Not a smaller body, but a thinner body in Purdue, he might get absolutely poleaxed and jumped over the top of by both Penasini and Zach Lomax, and also Mitch Moses with his craftiness as well, Victoria.
Penasini is a funny one, because if you had asked me that question maybe about 5 weeks ago, I would have said I was quite disappointed with him and that I thought he was probably our weakness in our back line. I thought he was doing a lot of unnecessary shit. I don't know if he got told maybe like, you got to step it up, and that was him trying to step it up. I'm very annoyed because a couple of years ago, a lot of Para fans spoke about how strong of a center he was defensively and attacking wise. And then apparently he read all those tweets and decided to just stop defending. No, not quite that bad, but he definitely has shown that he isn't as, dominant as I think we thought he was. Don't say it.
So she was a lot nicer to his face the other day.
I saw the photos.
Yeah. No, but I did also have a laugh with him because I said it wasn't a chicken wing. And he went, I fucking know, right? It was actually genuinely really funny because he got penalized for that chicken wing against Melbourne.
No, it wasn't a chicken wing either, eh? No.
I told him to his face that I thought it was disgraceful. I was laughing when I said it, to be fair.
He also probably thought you meant the call.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, to be honest, I think it was the Titans game. It was the Titans game. That game, until he got himself sin-binned and then suspended, was, I think, probably his best game that he's played in about 2 years.
He popped off in that game.
Yeah, he was really strong. And obviously you do have to take it with a grain of salt because it is the Titans. But still, I think it was a very good opportunity for him, because I think maybe he might be a little bit of a confidence player, and to be able to sit there and go, all right, well, I'm breaking these tackles. I'm having, a stronger performance. Getting suspended didn't help, but thank God he picked up where he left off. I'm so sorry. Our dumb cat is trying to climb on top of the cupboard, so Jack has got to stop him.
Yeah, all good.
Sorry. He came back against the Broncos, and I think picked up where he left off, at least, thankfully. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident with our edge. To be honest, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually quite okay with our back line. They're not my issue at the moment. They've all had their issues defensively. I don't know what's going on with Lomax, if I'm completely honest. I think since Origin, I've been quite disappointed in him, to be completely honest.
I was disappointed in him during Origin.
Sorry, yes, same. Unfortunately. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if he's carrying an injury or something, because I think when you look at it statistically, he's probably still making those meters and he's still doing what he can do, what we all know he can do, but it's the extras that we usually see from him that had him probably Para's best player up until the Origin period. And I don't know what it is about. I don't know. I wish I could chat to him and say, well, bro, what's going on? Because I don't know, but I really hope he can fire on the weekend. Sorry, no offense. And then
Victoria, I would say that the first half of the year, Zach Lomax had one hand on the Dally M Winger of the Year. I don't think I could actually give it to him just quietly. No, I don't think I could.
If he got it, I'd be very surprised, because looking at the entire season, albeit he did get hurt and was out for a while, I have to give the better winger to Addo Carr.
Oh, it was, and Felix agrees, and I agree with you too. Fox I thought he started the year a little bit wavy, but I think he's just gotten stronger and stronger since the year has gone on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of his stats would be firing if Sean Russell could pass the ball. But unfortunately, I think he just really overthinks when to pass at times. But he's got a broken hand now and is out for the season. So maybe out of car will score some tries now.
Yeah. Yep. Jack, are you there, mate?
Yes.
Yes,
I do
yes.
apologize. One of our cats, stature-wise, is built like a Jackson Purdue. And, she's quite agile. She gets up on top of the kitchen cabinets and sits there and watches us. The other one is built a little bit more like Shaq Mitchell.
I was going to say Reed Marnie.
But he tries to be a Jackson Purdue, and he's trying to jump up on the cupboards. And I'm 99% sure we might witness a cat death on stream if he does do that. So that's why I was getting up. Now, blame it on the pussy. Now, when it comes to this game, it's very interesting. I think the result is gonna come down to who has a better game out of Dearden and Moses. Mm-hmm. I think that's an incredible matchup. When it comes to those back lines, I think Para have it over them. I think someone like Purdue has had a fantastic year, and I agree with you that I wouldn't blame any of the bad things that have happened to North Queensland on him. I think he's fallen a bit of a victim to his versatility throughout the season, and he's sort of shifted in and out. And I felt like North Queensland last week lost the game the moment the team list was submitted, because and some of them were like forced changes. It just wasn't a strong enough team to compete with what they're coming up against. I agree with you about that defensive edge, though. I think, Purdue, there's the continuity thing of sort of shifting position and shifting edge each week, depending on what the team needs from him. Nanai isn't the greatest defender in general. I think he offers a lot more in attack than he does in defense. Felix, shut up. And Dearden's all heart, but he's a small boy. He can't throw his body in certain ways to make tackles. But that being said, I think he's an incredible player. I think Taumalolo is a massive in. Whilst, he might not be the 2017 Taumalolo, we've seen in games throughout the past couple of years that he still has it in him to do a really good performance. I remember last year against Penrith, he was just about the best player on the field up in North Queensland. And Penrith got the win, I believe, in that match. Yep. But it would have been probably a horrendous flogging if not for Taumalolo's involvement. And he shows that he still got that in him. And this could be one of those matches where they do it. I am gonna tip the Cowboys. The only reason why, and I've got a stat here. So only twice this year, and this includes last weekend, and everyone can agree that last weekend's results don't really count because of how rainy it was in Sydney. They don't truly reflect the season. So only twice this year has a team won the week after playing the Storm. All season. So the Warriors beat the Broncos earlier in the year, and that was the Warriors with Barnett, with Fisher-Harris, with Metcalf, with Egan in Auckland. Then the other one was the Roosters last week playing a game versus Manly at what seemed like Manly Beach rather than at Brookvale Oval. And it wasn't a real match of rugby league. Parramatta gave it everything, but this Storm, this wrestling machine, apparently they still exist. They're chicken winging, they're grapple tackling, they're slowing down the ruck, they're making teams put in absolutely everything to even get within 6 points of them. And it takes it out of them the next week. So if Para hadn't played the Storm the week before, I'd go Para, because I think Para are playing better footy at the moment. And I think on paper, it looks like a stronger team currently. But just based on that, I'm expecting a Cowboys victory.
I love it when you talk dirty to me, mate. I absolutely love it. That's sensational. Victoria. Now, I'm not done with you yet. All right, I'm not done with you. It's about this game in particular. Dean Hawkins. What do you reckon?
I quite like him. I do. He's a bit of a Tana Boyd for me. I do think he is a New South Wales Cup. What?
Okay.
I think that's harsh. I think he's good.
I think where we've been struggling though is he's not a 5'8". I mean, he threw that intercept for Adam Reynolds because he overthought the pass. It was just an unnecessary. It was almost like he delayed it. He basically went like, "I'm going to throw it. Well, here you go." And then Adam Reynolds was like, "Cool, thanks." Just handed it to me, basically.
Those old man legs.
Yeah, his kicking game is good with Mitch Moses not on the field. But when Moses is on the field, you just see that it's nowhere near as good as his. And that's maybe an unfair criticism because there aren't too many halfbacks or halves that have a game.
It's a high bar.
Yes, it is. But it just, unfortunately, he doesn't offer that. I mean, to be honest, there isn't a kick that Moses doesn't have. Like, he has a good kick in him across the field, but at least that short kick option needs to be a bit stronger from your 5A, where Hawkins has the good bomb or like meters kick sort of thing. He's had his moments. He's not been bad. I don't think he's been bad at all.
No.
But I just think, unfortunately, he's playing as a halves partner rather than finding his own spark. I think when he's the fifth tackle option, it's because Moses has been caught out or like it's a bit of a desperate play. Like someone's been rushed up and it's a panic kick option kind of situation, which we saw on Thursday night. Someone pair played Thursday? Yeah. Thursday night. So I am being critical. I think I'm being overly critical, but just because I've missed watching two halves on a field really fire together. And I don't mean it to be insulting to him, but I just think for where our team is right now with Iongi out, unfortunately, and so therefore Papali playing fullback, which I think is great at the moment. I think it's really good for his confidence. All around, tick, love it. But it just means we're just not getting quite what we need from our spine entirely. So I'm being harsh, but I just think that's how I feel.
Your spine next year, we're looking forward just quickly into the future. Your spine next year, all things healthy, is Iongi, Papali, Moses, and Riley Smith with De Silva off the bench, or would you have Smith off the bench with De Silva starting?
No, I would definitely have Riley starting.
We have an exclusive. The other night, Victoria asked Papali, said Papali, my apologies, asked, so are you going to be the 6 next year? And we can reveal, he said, I hope so.
Thank you. Yes. No, yeah. I friggin' hope so too. I hope so too.
Hawkins fans.
Right. And if you keep Dylan Walker at friggin' lock as well, he's been a bit of a revelation this year.
Nowadays, I feel like a lot of people include the lock when they talk about the spine because obviously it is such a pivotal role, and I think
they do in the UK.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's nice. I think
I'll go fuck myself.
I think Hopgood has been by far our most disappointing player this year. Who has played consistently?
Dylan Brown.
Who has played consistently?
Okay,
he got dropped.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hopgood's the only one that hasn't been dropped.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway,
keep going.
To be selected every week, he's just not. I don't know if they really are. It's just they kind of need him because unfortunately we keep just copping injuries. But if we didn't have Dylan Walker, I think that would be hurting quadruple because he's doing so much in the middle. It's been it's frustrating because I'm not a huge fan of him as a person, but purely looking at it, just a rugby league brain, remove any emotion from it. It was a fantastic signing. And I actually really think he's going to get our player of the year because he's played.
And then Jack DeVella next year.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sorry.
Anyway. A club's not going to sit there and not do it. They're going to do it anyway. So ideally, I would say, all emotion aside, that would be our spine. But I do love the idea that if we at least can maintain Hawkins as a backup, because chances are Moses will miss 17 games again next year. And so then at least that way he can be interjected again into the halves at halfback. Because when he played at halfback, it was, we looked all right. Like we still looked all right. So at least that way, finally, in a lot of positions, I'm seeing that we have some depth finally, which is
growth.
Which is it's really exciting.
So I reckon the Cowboys are working with the better forward pack this weekend. And I think Jack alluded to that. I think you guys have the better back line. Whilst a lot of people who aren't Cowboys or Parramatta fans are going to look at this contest and say, oh man, this is just a bottom four battle sort of thing. I actually think it could actually be a really entertaining game of footy. I mean, if the rain comes, yeah, sure. It actually could be really close though. So I am obviously going to tip the Cowboys. How much do you reckon the Parramatta Eels will win by, V?
I haven't tipped Para at all this year, and I'm not about to change that. So I'm tipping Cowboys.
Okay, that's cold. All right, that's cold.
Genuinely,
all right.
This has been my logic the whole time. Every time someone asks me about this, I have a level of faith with them this week. I do, but I would always rather tip against them and be happy with the win because I don't care about the tip when they win. If I tip them and they lose, I'm annoyed. If I tip them and they win, I'm happy, but it's too much of a gamble. I'd rather just be happy at the win than care about a tip. So I'm not gonna ruin my juju and change anything right now. I got to stay consistent.
And you're winning your tipping comp. You're doing better in the tipping comp.
Actually, I'm not doing better.
Yeah, no, doing better than me.
Oh, doing better than you. Yeah.
Yo.
I'm coming last.
Just one more. You're coming last. Oh Jesus! There's just one more game. I really appreciate your time tonight, guys. I know it's getting late. Got the women's Parramatta versus North Queensland game. What are the odds for this one? Because unfortunately, before Sunday evening, I was looking forward to this full strength contest. And at the moment, the bookies can't split them. It is $1.90 each way for this one.
No way.
It is. That's pretty interesting, actually. I wouldn't have been surprised if Parramatta were favourites, despite the injury concerns. I'll just quickly fly through. Well, not quickly, but so Kennedy Charrington is out due to a concussion. That is awful. I hope she's doing okay. Rory Owen's season is over. Cassie Tohihiku, you might be able to confirm. She might be hanging on the precipice there. So what we've got here. Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus. So we got Church, Faye, and Matayele on the back three. Jin and Tui are the centers. Rosemary Beckett and Pearson are the halves. And I know that just quickly, I'm going to stop here, and I'll get your thoughts after I go through the team list. But Rachel Pearson, I thought would be a lot higher in the Dally M count. I thought that she'd be even equal to Isabel Kelly. I think Pearson has been absolutely outstanding in 2025. The forwards, Albert, Charrington, and Eels, Jackson, Murphy, and Arlo. What a friggin' debut year from River Lee Arlo, just quietly. Todd Hunter, Paige Travers, McWilliams, and Amiatu come in. And we'll go to the North Queensland Cowboys now. And the only change in the back line, in the back seven, is that Kira Dibb is back, but she's not halfback. She's playing 5'8", but we'll see what happens on the game day. So it's Kira Dibb at 5'8". Tallulah Tillett is going to take the reins. That excites me. That excites me to see how Tallulah Tillett potentially majors around Kira Dibb and the rest of the team with Kira Dibb there. Lily Peacock starts in jersey number 10. Harden, Ormond Warnsel, and Chester, the back row. Ford, Yarrow, Lily Dick, and S.A. Banu in at jersey number 17. Rosie Kelly has been dropped for Kira Dibb, and Tiana Rafstrand-Smith is the 18th player. Jack and Victoria, talk to us about the Parramatta Eels versus Cowboys NRLW game.
Yeah, look, I'm very surprised that this is even odds. And I'm not even doing, a South Sydney thing right now, but that's pretty brutal to have lost the players that we lost in that game. You know, as if Rory Owen wasn't bad enough. It just got like it was so tough. It was really tough. I really, really feel bad for Kennedy Charrington. That it was, I don't know if you saw it, but it was one of those kind of knockout situations where her whole entire body like flopped to the ground. Like she was out like as soon as they made contact. And it was one of those really like ones that like your stomach just churns seeing it. And she's such a positive figure in the side. I didn't watch it intently enough to know whether she statistically made enough of a difference with run meters or tackles or anything like that. Yeah. But just the voice that she has in that team, I would not be surprised at all if that's what got them home on the weekend. Because that was it was a come from behind victory, but also to handle and juggle all of those injuries. Because at one stage, thank God she's playing, but Murphy went off as well for a HIA. While I mean, Kennedy was playing at that stage, but like we had no Owen, no Tohiku, and no Murphy all at once. And I think we scored a try during that time. And so like it was a tough game. But having been at one of the local suburban grounds, you can hear Charrington from a mile away. She just talks the whole game. And she came on the field off the bench coming back from injury. I think she went like 377 days without playing for para. And so it was a huge like moment for her to come back in Magic Round, everything like that. So that's why I just really feel so bad for her that unfortunately now she's out again. And also it was just a horrible incident as well. So I think that's a huge out. Beckett really like, I'm excited, but I just don't know what to expect. Because like we've had such a strong halves combination for the last 2 years. And for the most part, our halves haven't been our issues injury wise. We've actually gotten quite lucky. Unfortunately, we've been pretty unlucky with injuries the last few years, but they've been two that have just been able to play consistently together. And so I don't know how that's going to go, especially considering Beckett's been off the bench at times. And she's kind of just, she's a utility player all the way. And so I just don't fully know what to expect. I'm expecting Pearson to be able to kind of grab control of the game and steer the ship and stuff like that. But I think there's too many ifs for me to say that I think it's fair that they're even odds. I think that's a bit of a not disrespect to Cowboys, but it's an even record. And you've got Dib coming back. Like how can, like, I'm just a bit confused what they're looking at for them to be saying it's even in their opinion. Yeah, I don't know.
Jack?
Yeah, it's one where I certainly know the Parramatta team more than I know the Cowboys team. Because like if they're playing and we can't be there, then it's on our TV. So like they're the NRLW team that I watch by far the most, you know. I think they certainly have a bit more spark across the two team lists still. I think Church and Faye in particular, really good. I think what you were saying about what we touched on a little bit about Pearson is so true. I think her short kicking game is amongst the best rugby league players in the world in either gender. I think we saw that particularly in the opening game of NRLW against Cronulla.
Yeah.
She had it on an absolute string. And now she has lost that run threat that was with her in Hiku because that's mainly what she contributed to the team. A little bit more than that, but like that was kind of her role. Rosemary Beckett had a really good game in the New South Wales Women's Premiership against Penrith on the weekend. But that was at halfback. So it was slightly different. She was the controller where she's not exactly going to take up that role because that is definitely Pearson's role. And also Penrith being one of those teams in the comp that doesn't have any NRLW contracted players, it also does put a little asterisk on the quality of the team that you're versing. But there are a few things with the Cowboys where I think they really make up for it. Like Roach is a fantastic player. I think Dib coming back is a massive lift, not only in terms of ability, But in terms of similar to what you're talking about with Kennedy Charrington, about that lift, that sort of spiritual lift, because she's the captain, correct? I believe Kira Gibb. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's the sort of the mental lift as well as the physical lift that comes with her returning. Felix agrees; he's a big Kira Gibb fan. I think as well, when you look at the other Charrington in the team, Ruben, she's a very good hooker, but I think Manzelman is like really elite. Yeah, like an absolutely unreal player. And I'm still going to back Para. Because I still think you still have like the Elsie Alberts, those types of players. Mahalia Murphy. I think there was a really good example of her leadership on the weekend where there was a moment where a para player, I believe, knocked on. And, you sort of see that the Charringtons like to get involved and a bit like sort of in your face, like, after an opposition player knocks on and everything. So I don't think there's much issue when a team gives it back to, say, the Charringtons. But I can't remember what player it was that knocked on for para. And the Saints players were sort of like shoving her.
Yeah.
And she wasn't reacting and she was walking away. And they really went out of their way. One of the players who was nowhere near it, like ran past a few of her Dragons teammates to shove this para player in the back. And Mahalia Murphy like jumped in and like grabbed her and like shut it down almost immediately. And I thought that was a real example of what she brings to the team, aside from her obvious ability as a back rower. And it's one of those games where I think both teams are having a good season, a decent season. There's probably been a few performances that have been a bit let go, but they're certainly not amongst the weak teams in the comp. Yep. And I think it is going to come down to almost a mental thing about like which team's leaders are going to stand up the most.
Yeah.
And I wonder, whether that's going to be more difficult for the Cowboys with Dib just returning, as opposed to Mahalia having a run of games now, Elsie Abbott having a run of games, Abby Church a run of games, Rachel Pearson,
Look at that.
Yeah, geez. In terms of the ladder, that's a very close match.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe Para's points differential was 0. That's so funny.
It's, as we said before, as we alluded to it before, that the 1 point as well now. Like if it'd be fine if the Bulldogs got the full 2 points in that victory or potential victory last weekend. Sure, it eliminates the Titans or backs them away a little bit more, but they've both got that friggin' 1 point. And so particularly North Queensland and Parramatta, they've got one eye forward and one eye back. Moving forward now with Bulldogs and Titans sniffing around. Sharks, they need to rectify things immediately because they're just not inducing any sort of confidence whatsoever. So this matchup, it cannot be understated. It's 4th versus 5th this weekend, and the winner they'll be sitting inside the top 4 for sure. They'll be sitting 4th basically. Oh, gee whiz, we've actually flopped over. All right then. Yes. But yeah, so just to wax lyrical about the Cowboys for half a second. Ja'Kai Whitfield, 170 running meters inside the first half last weekend against the Warriors. She was absolutely unbelievable. She was sensational. S.A. Banu, I thought that she plateaued last weekend. That's the word of the night, just quietly. S.A. Banu will come back. I think she'll come back into it. Just going through the rest of the Mackenzie Wheel, she had a bit of an off night, so I think that she will come screaming back in the calculations as well. Bree Chester, if it wasn't, who is it? Who am I thinking of? If it wasn't for Olivia Koenig, I think Bree Chester would be the Dally M lock and potentially New South Wales Sky Blue representative as well. But we've got Olivia Koenig in the competition, so half your luck. But Bree Chester, she's absolutely amazing. So $1.90. I think maybe the Cowboys might start as favourites. I think as the week goes on, I think North Queensland might become $1.80 favourites to a Parramatta $2. But I think this will still be an absolutely ripping game. It is a shame that those superstars are out for Parramatta, because even so, I'd still be very much looking forward to it. Just a shame that we were robbed of those superstars in the end.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yo.
Scoring teams as well. So it'll be, you'd imagine it'll be tense.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go against my what I said all before, and just given, down on troops and everything, I'm going to actually back Para as well for this one. I'm going 1-12 though. I'm not going to be, fucking insane.
No.
I think Abby Church not makes or breaks, but I think she will be the difference. I think she hasn't had a quiet year, but I just think she hasn't fired in a game yet. And she had her little moments where she almost kind of broke, I think where unfortunately she struggles a little bit is she is quite small overall. Yeah. And so she can get smashed, unfortunately. But I fully back her to step up. And so I think she will be the difference. That's just my prediction.
Okay.
Rude. Jack, Victoria, I didn't think we'd go this long tonight, but I'm so grateful. Hey?
We have a habit of that. So
no, seriously, guys, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to doing this next year for sure. But enjoy the footy this weekend, and we'll get out of here. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us.
Alrighty, enjoy the weekend, guys. Take care.
Yeah.
Adios.